go. Should be good. All right. We are live, guys. We are live. Activate charisma mode. We've got a fantastic panel, a fantastic set of topics, and an even better chat, guys. We do have a special guest and a sponsor today. We're gonna try to get you guys some free loot. That's basically the goal. I was just straight up, hey, can I get these guys some free stuff? And of course, they agreed. So we're gonna go into all that stuff. But first, we're gonna start with some introductions, some patron shout-outs. And, of course, guys, we got all the latest topics. So hit that like button if you showed up early. We do appreciate it. Let's get into some introductions. Cody Eastwood, man, how have you been, man? Another week, more events going on, new information popping up. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me on. Yeah, it's a good day. There's a lot to talk about, as always. So thanks for having me.
Yeah. Fonzarelli, man, how are you holding up over there? You doing all right?
Yeah, hey, I'm good. Thanks for having me on my show. It's great to be here.
Well, that was unusually short. Everyone, okay. D-Batch, you all right? You still eating?
No, I finished.
Of course, guys.
Top we got all burnt, but I'm all good. I can't wait to get into the topics today. We got a great show ahead of us. Let's go.
All right. Yeah, your mic it definitely doesn't cut out anymore, but it's a little less sharp, if that makes any sense. But at least we can hear you now, so that's good.
It sounds like he's like in a box.
Yeah, yeah. Are you in the cat? Are you in the litter box with your cat right now? Where you at?
No, I'm actually in the closet.
Hey, I gotta give a shout out to Johnny Six, new channel member as well. Thanks so much, buddy. We've also got Xcloud Tim Dog. What's going on, brother?
How you doing? A good week to talk about a lot of stuff. Happy that Rukari's coming down. It's gonna be a good show.
Yes, it will be a fantastic show. I agree. And we've also got Zalker87. What's going on, brother?
Feeling good, man. Finally have power, unlike last week where my power went out in the middle of the podcast and I sat there like an asshole. So it was great. But yeah, glad to be back. Glad everybody in the chat and the awesome guest that we have today. It's going to be a damn good night tonight.
I've got a couple different guests, and Rukari kicks it all off. Now, of course, I'll introduce Rukari. You know him from Inside Xbox, one of the better hosts, in my opinion. Like I said, does a great job. He has decided to join us for this week's show. We got some topics, I guess, some questions for him even. I don't know if you looked at the topics. If you didn't, that's great. We can go off the cuff. But Rukari, thanks so much for joining us, brother. We do appreciate it.
Absolutely. I don't like that whole intro, too, because that puts way too much pressure on me to perform.
Oh, that's not true.
I'm sitting here lazy in this chair right now. Like, we could just chat it out.
Mean,
but it's not that I decided to be here. Like, damn.
Yeah.
I'm glad I got invited on.
Yeah, we appreciate it, man. We've had, like, Mike Ibarra on. I've got a few other guys from Xbox that are coming on over the next month, and we haven't really talked about that much. But, again, you locked down XO19. I wasn't the biggest fan of some of the games there, but you definitely helped. The pacing of XO19 was really, really good, and I thought you did a great job.
Right?
Yeah,
it was way better.
It was. Was there something behind the scenes that you guys did? You kind of took note of the past shows, and you're like, look, let's make this roll off the tongue a little better.
More trailers, less personality.
Noted.
Damn.
No joke, and more so just not like more games and whatnot, but just trying to get our pacing. Like, everything that anybody says is fully heard, and we always felt that the thing that we do that others don't is we get the one-on-ones and deep dives, and we felt like with something like XO, people just want to see the announcements and go.
Mm-hmm.
Like other shows, yes, we'll still have those those deep dives and interviews and whatnot, but for that one, they just wanted to go quicker pace, too much to talk about, so let's not talk, let's show.
Pacing was great. It was really a standout.
Yeah, I did enjoy the pacing.
King Long, I didn't see your first comment, buddy, but he says, my mistake, Ubisoft were the ones who stated that they were making less games next gen, not Sony. So, yeah, thank you. But yeah, we're going to get into some patron shout-outs. We'll start with the first topic, of course, and we'll roll in. Thanks to everybody that is checking us out live. Of course, we're on YouTube. Already almost 400 watching live. Thank you so much. Hit that like button, share this out, help us out a little bit. Let's try to get up to 300-400 likes for the show, 1,000 after the fact. And, of course, hit that notification button if you have not. Let's do some shout-outs for the patrons here. Every patron's in that little scroll at the top. We've got some verbal shout-outs as well here. Johnny Virtuous, thank you so much, sir, for an object. Teo, we got John Blue, Darth Chaos, Prython. We got the Bad Boy Live. Shout out to you, brother. Vec Boss, Deviator X, Obi-Wan FTW, Tasteless Genie, Scout Trooper 74, I'm turning the pages here. Centurion 1307, Real Deal Neil. Shout out to Neil. He's been around forever. Same for Suicide King, Michael Bowen, Guillermo Cavillo, and of course Chanogram, along with Woomy Hood, Fork Boy Gaming. Shout out to him, man. And Naughty Nubbin, Alfonso Hogan, A Squad Gaming, Slim 73, and Mo Cool Kid. Thank you guys for what you do. Again, every patron is on that scroll, and we do have a sponsor that wants to give away some stuff to you guys. So a company called Extreme Rate reached out to me, and I decided to go ahead and kind of communicate back and forth. Usually I'm like, too much reading. So this time I was like, let's see what they got. They got some controller accessories and stuff for you. So basically, the way I've worked it out is that you'll leave a comment when this thing renders and uploads to the channel. You'll leave a comment in the comment section. They'll go through and choose 2 different people, and those 2 people can choose any 2 items from their Amazon store. And all you got to do is leave a comment with the word extreme in it. So, yeah,
Extreme.
just do that. Just put extreme, all caps, in the comments, and they will choose 2 of you. They will ship it to you.
Harold and Kumar style.
All that stuff, yeah. All that stuff. So thank you guys, and thanks to Extreme Rate for what they're doing as well, hooking you guys up with some stuff. So let's talk about Black Friday real quick. That was, again, Tim Dog, I'm going to start with you on this one. Black Friday, we all knew that everyone was buying everything. I bought a couple consoles myself for the family, stuff like that. Xbox in the UK, and we could talk about this with a little bit more legitimacy because you can't download an Xbox, right? There's data for all of this stuff that's being sold. So the Xbox One took the UK, rather, over Black Friday with the Xbox One S All Digital, or the SAD edition, leading the way. Is this surprising, Tim, or had we maybe told the people about this a little bit beforehand?
Well, I remember when it came out, when the Xbox Series came out, we were all talking about it, and there was a lot of people like, "Oh, what are they going to do with the pricing?" And I remember we specifically saying that this was a holiday play, or it's looking to be a holiday play, and it kind of looks like that's the case. I mean, UK had some unbelievable deals for the Sade edition. I think it was £99, I guess, is their currency, and that's equivalent to, I don't know, I think that this is around like 140, I guess, US dollars. I don't know the exact, but I would say that I am still surprised. They sold 100,000 units comparatively to Sony that sold 60,000. I think this just proves one thing is that I think people might be actually ready to be able to buy a digital video game box and not really think about DRM or get scared off. And what came through to me is that pricing was the biggest thing here, and it's just a good thing, I think, for Xbox that if in the future they go diskless with what they're going ahead, they could possibly do this, and this is data that they're taking in now. It was just like I said, they did some really unbelievable numbers. Surprised me a little. I didn't. If you said that they would win, even beat Switch, and they did beat Switch, it was by a short number, but yeah, I mean, it was a really big holiday for Xbox, especially in UK.
You brought up DRM, and all of that just PTSD'd me back to 2013. Of course, Rukari, you were around during the launch of the original Xbox One, correct?
I was indeed.
Tell me how many times that you couldn't sleep because of how horrible the metric and some people kind of fumbled that pretty badly. What was that like for you as an employee?
Working in community, I'm going to say something that probably doesn't sit well with folks, but shit happens, and then you just go forward. To be fair,
you grabbed the fumble and ran. You're like, oh,
yeah, that wasn't anything that I had to deal with on my own. So, actually, at that time when it was announced, I was switching teams. I had just left 343. I was jumping on Xbox Social, and I remember they just weren't saying anything, back about it. So it was just a thing. People adapt and go, and that's kind of the ebb and flow of our business, as we very much say. How are people reacting? Okay, what do we do going forward? Go.
Gotcha.
This was the response, so be it. I look at all digital, though, and none of these things just happen willy-nilly, right? There's hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars of research that goes behind it and whatnot. And I look at the SAD edition, if you will. It's not necessarily trying to coerce the people that are in this podcast, but I look at my little sister. She's 10 years younger than me, about 22. she's never going to own anything. She doesn't want to buy movies. She has Netflix, she has Hulu, she has all these subscription-based services. So really all she needs is a box to watch it. And that's
Can use an
what I
access
see
point, right?
Yeah, that's what I see the all digital. They're not going after us. They know we'll have our, our Scarlett, our Xbox One X. I feel like, and this is me again being compartmentalized and not knowing what their marketing play is. They're going after a generation that's already used to, everything being subscription based or all digital. And it's like giving people an option, right? If they want the console and the disc and they want to still have their collections, they can. But yeah, we've got this other thing too that's going to be an easy entry point for some folks that they may not otherwise have tapped.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, back to the original Xbox One launch. So be it. So be it. I didn't have to sit in any of those meetings. Look, my games came out. I was working on KI, Crimson Dragon, Power Star Golf. They were out.
Yeah.
So I had people to deal with. So
you jumped out of the helicopter, landed, did a roll, flip over the fence, and you were fine. You were out.
yeah, no, it wasn't. That sounds horrible to say. I mean, we're all a family and we care about the success of the product.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is the optics may not have been great, but other people were making the business decisions to set the strategy and how we went forward. We had games that shipped and had millions of copies out that we had to worry about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you had your hands full. And in regards to all digital too, like, it's not like that's just a box where you plug it up and you're like, well, I just don't own anything ever forever. You still got your licenses tied to your accounts just like we do today on any box, right? You still pretty much own all the same stuff. You're just no discs, right? It's that simple.
Mm-hmm.
It's the streaming culture, though.
It's the what?
Streaming culture, though.
Streaming culture, yeah. Yeah, and it's cheap. Let's not forget that. That's why I did so well over Black Friday as well. I got one for my niece, actually, and she really enjoyed it. She really enjoyed it. But at the end of the day, I mean, all digital doing quite well. I mean, Colt, Eastwood, anything in regards to Black Friday over there chewing on your toenails and whatnot.
Wow. No, I mean, I kind of tried to look at what Amazon's best-selling list. The PlayStation 4 and Xbox One didn't crack the top 100 in the US. But the Switch was number 11. Was the number 11 out of 100 in video gaming. The Xbox One controller beat the DualShock by 1 rank. Like, it was just, I don't know. Matt Piscatella of the MPD Group said that sales for consoles were lower than normal, but we're on the last, year of that console. So, I don't know.
I mean, it's impressive though, because both Microsoft and Sony have announced the console, their next one, and a year ahead of, where usually they're like, look, we're gonna try to come out in March, April, tell you about that we have something new. That way, we only suffer for 6 months of console sales. This is a year out, and it still really did quite well, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny and consoles are still flying off the shelf all year long, so people are very much excited to plug a box under the big TV. So that's good.
Yes, agreed. Zalker, what's going on, brother? You all right over there?
I'm doing good. Yeah, I'm doing good. I honestly think a little controversial, but I actually think that this year doesn't matter. I think people that have consoles already had one for about a year. The hardcore people that are going to be basically like the elephants of the ecosystem where they buy everything. I think they're already entrenched in where they're going to be. I think this next year coming up is far more important in what two companies are going to show. Like the biggest thing to me was my family wanted like a streaming box for their room, the entertainment room that they have. And they literally were like, oh, maybe I'll get this. And it was like $100, $150. And I was like, man, these people could buy the all digital edition and just do so much with it and walk away and never even put a damn game in it.
Yep.
And just watch whatever they need to watch and stream whatever they need to stream in 4K or whatever. And that's the way I looked at it now. I think a lot of people that are getting it are using it for more than just gaming.
Much more. And you're right. Apple TV's $100, man. Like, all digital's right there competing with thousands of games.
Yeah,
but I gotta jump in and just talk about the other side of the coin with this SAT edition. For me personally, it's kind of bittersweet because I understand where the culture is headed. I get it. We want to move forward with technology, but at the same time, I don't want to leave my physical discs behind when it comes to certain things. Like,
so you've got options.
Well, yeah, but with 4K Blu-rays, oh man, it's just so much better than watching these streaming movies. So much better.
So did you buy an all digital or no?
No, I
oh, so you're good.
I'm good. I'm good. I'm just saying, it's one of those things, in the future going forward.
Be aware what you're
here's the
buying.
thing.
Yeah.
It's been shown to sell like hotcakes, right? It's actually selling really, really well.
Yeah.
The price point is great. That whole streaming culture, that mentality, they're all for it. And I'm good with downloading games. I'm good with that. But it's like there's certain media that I'm just like, I gotta have it physically because higher bit rates.
Mhm.
It's just,
Physical culture.
it's much better to consume that way. With gaming, you actually download it. With the movies, you're not downloading. You
I'm
know
like
what
you.
saying?
I'm like you, man. I got my movies 4K Blu-ray as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you gotta have the high bit rate.
Yeah, I just
Agreed.
wanted to add real quick. Yeah, I agree with you there. I definitely like having my physical media. Nothing beats native 4K Blu-ray. Nothing streaming can touch it. At the same time, it's good to have that option for people that don't really care about the Blu-ray. And at the same time, I think Game Pass really pushed the all digital edition because you get access to all of these games and you don't have to switch your discs. You can just go from game to game, which makes it a little bit more convenient. Let's be honest, a lot of Xbox gamers, I'm sure a ton of them do enjoy 4K Blu-rays, but it's a gaming console at the end of the day, and most people bought it to play games. So the SAT edition is a good option, and I'm actually surprised that it sold so well, to be honest.
Well, and that's exactly again the price. 100%. 100% of gamers didn't look at the digital Xbox to the right and the S to the left and be like, well, I really hate that disk drive slot. I'm going to go with the one that doesn't have it. They got it because it's cheaper, right? So, I mean, again, the price is 100% of the reason why it's doing so well, and that's why they've kind of positioned it that way.
But it also shows how vast the market is, right? Like, I haven't bought a Blu-ray, 4K Blu-ray, in probably 2 or 3 years. I haven't bought a physical game. Probably the only actually physical games I've bought are PlayStation because I don't care to buy them digitally. I just get them when they're, used or whatever, and I just get them and that's it. Or I borrow them from a friend and that's it. But everything else, I'm digital. Like, I'm all digital. I love having it on my phone. When I work out, I watch movies, and when I do cardio, when I go somewhere on a long trip, I like having it there. Like, I don't really care to have anything physical. Like, I don't aim to do it. That's just me. All right. Like, that's the difference. And that's what I like. And that's the whole point of having different market values when you sell something.
I got to point out, go ahead.
I was going to say, I've got hundreds of movies. Friends in low places, they work at the marketing companies that put on all the screenings, so I always get to see them early, I always get copies of them. But over the last year, I've finally found with Movies Anywhere a way to have all my movies in one spot. And just for convenience sake, I'm like slowly turning. So I'm watching myself on the cusp of, remembering what it was like to go to the bar with a pen and paper, and also remembering what it was like to go to the bar with your cell phone. Like, I'm on that cusp of physical and digital, right? No, I'm 33, not that bad. But God, it's funny watching the shift because, again, little sister, not a movie in sight, and then there's me like clinging onto my hundreds of movies, and then I know in my head I'm like, I'm just gonna give them to my son when he's old enough. Well, I'm gonna switch everything to digital.
Well, that's the whole thing, right? Like, I even read comics, and I don't buy comics physically anymore. I just get them digitally, like through a subscription, and that's it. I'm done. Like, it's over. Like, I just read them, and I can read them on my phone, on my tablet, wherever I go. That's, to me, it's more about convenience. Like, I have hundreds of DVDs, and I've converted those to Blu-rays. Like, you're able to do that on like a Vudu or something. Like, you could just scan it and then you convert it, and that's it.
So you've gone digital is what you're trying to say.
Yeah, pretty much. I've gone fucking just straight digital, and that's why like the all digital edition like doesn't bother me. Like, it's like cool, it's whatever.
I don't think it should bother anybody. Every single explanation as to why it's not a good thing is 100% some crazy opinion that somebody makes up. There's no proof to any of it. So again, it is simply an option. The Scarlett will have a disk drive. They're looking to give you every single bit of technology in that box. I'm not worried about that at all. And provided that you want it, you got the money, go ahead and get it. Again, I wanted to point out too, because we always do, the gameplay Infinite Warfare this week. Because me and Colt been playing this game, and it turns out it's pretty damn good. The campaign's pretty damn good. So if you haven't played the Infinite Warfare campaign, and I'm somebody who said, fuck Call of Duty, I'm pretty much done with it until the recent one. I beat that, liked it, went to this one. Wow, okay, it's pretty good too. Don't Call Me White in the chat, by the way. Don't Call Me White says, he says options. He says options, but no VR for Xbox has people triggered suddenly. That's a good point. People didn't seem to care about VR too much, but if you watched last week's show, what I said was, hey, I'm never going to tell you to ask for less from Microsoft. You should always want more. It doesn't matter if you'll use it. Don't matter if you don't, somebody will benefit from it. Gives you more value, whether you use it or not. Rukari, that's something that maybe you can touch on. Something recently that happened. Microsoft basically saying, "Hey, with Scarlett, we're not really going for VR." But as we both know, they could implement that anytime they wanted, provided it took off or something.
Yeah, not knowing again what money they poured into research and development, or if they maybe watched Sony and watched how much sell through they had, or watched anybody else. I don't see it taking off. Like I think we would have, like Fortnite. We saw how that just ran up the charts and stayed atop of the charts. Nothing VR has done that. So I don't think that's a bad idea. And like you mentioned, they were probably more than capable of, having VR be a thing if they so choose. Don't know though. Again, but way above any thought that I've ever had to put in.
Yeah, that's something that I don't even think the higher ups exactly know yet. They are feeling that out, right? So, but with the X, we know that they were saying, "Hey, look, third parties developing all kinds of really good headsets. That'll drive competition. That'll drive price, latency. All that stuff will get better. And you know what? We'll just enable that for our box." They were essentially going to let third parties kind of use their headsets, provided it worked with that API and met the requirements. And they would have to really invest in that. So, I mean, I see Scarlett.
Instead of forcing people to do Connect style options,
yeah,
hey, you have the option to do VR
exactly.
things. And then the same result happened. Nobody wanted to use it.
Yep, nobody wanted to use it. Well, at least as of right now. But I think at the end of the day, I mean, don't call me white. It's such an awkward name. I definitely hear you, though. There was definitely an outrage over something that people really didn't care a whole lot before. Anthony Owens, thank you so much for coming on the channel, everybody. Do appreciate it. Let's go ahead and move forward, provided nobody else has anything to say on the VR thing, because I got some pretty good questions, actually, for Rukari coming up. As you guys know, if you're just tuning in, we got Rukari, recently seen on XO19 and more, always doing Inside Xbox, stuff like that. But we got Halo Reach coming out. That comes out today with the MCC update. And that is, apparently that's tearing it up. That's doing really well on Steam. Phil Spencer tweeted out that it was like #1 on Steam and apparently on Twitch, right, Colt?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's doing really well. Benji Sales covers a lot of sales and engagement on games, and he said that it was above Dota and CS:GO and League of Legends. I mean,
Wow.
Yeah, but I mean those games get big numbers. They get upwards. They peak at 600,000. But right now they're sitting under 100,000, and Halo Reach is up there dominating the engagement and sales. So, yeah, it's a big deal, and it's good. I'm interested to see what bringing big games like Halo and Gears to Steam for PC is that's going to generate a bunch of new money that they can pump back into Xbox Game Studios. A lot of us here in the chat may not play a whole bunch of games on PC, but we'd like to see that investment benefit us as console gamers. Because some of those games come out on both.
Mm-hmm. Furios in the super chat, already a great show, make it even better. Thank you so much. With the, I mean, again, even if it wasn't on Steam chart and they're doing great on Twitch, I don't care. Like it's something that people can finally play. Keep in mind that even an Xbox gamer that also has a PC in the other room, you can go play it there now, which only benefits you, right? So, Rukari, have you messed with Reach any since its release?
Oh, yeah, 10 a.m. I was trying to download that update. So, yeah, I played through a couple of levels today, Winter Contingency and whatnot, and then I played some multiplayer maps. But, God, it takes me back. That was right before I started working at Microsoft. And, I don't know, it was just funny seeing it again because I had not forgotten all about it, but, so many other games have come out since then. So, it was fun to see, and it was just absolutely gorgeous. Fun to play.
Yeah, I bet you it looks pretty good, actually, 4K and all that stuff. JFX, he says Smash Brothers is a big seller for Nintendo. How would you feel about Xbox getting a Power Stone 3 exclusive? I'm already reading, I'm already translating from ancient Egyptian right now because this is out of my realm. Power Stone 3 exclusive.
First of all, Power Stone 2 on Dreamcast was my shit. I'd be wang-tang all the time. Damn. So I just want to see that series come back because I had a ton of fun
that's perfect then.
I don't care who.
Power Stone 3 with a Microsoft character then. So you could have Master Chief in there.
Look, we keep saying options. Look, I'll play whatever. Then that's something that my career has taught me is growing up being shouldn't say poor, the broke black kid. We only had so many consoles on the block, and you played kind of what everybody else was playing and lots of 4-player games and whatnot. So I was a horrible gamer. Sports games and shooters, that was it. That's all I played. I started working at Xbox and doing more streaming and stuff, and I got to open up and see the entire world of gaming. So long story short, I'm all for a breadth and variety of games. Do it. I don't care who's in it. I don't care what console it's on. I'll go check it out and play.
Nice.
I wish I heard that more on Twitter. So many people offended if anybody even mentions certain things. It's just crazy to me.
I have to applaud,
like grounded.
Applaud that statement right there. Thank you very much for saying that.
Man, Ground, you sound like you're about to cry, brother. You got something to say?
Hey, as just as an older gamer here, probably the oldest here, I believe. But anyway, I just that's my take on it. I don't care where the game is. If I want to play that game, I'm gonna go out and get that console and play that game. This whole thing about these choosing alliances has always been weird to me.
Now, don't get me wrong. I'll buy this shit on the Xbox 100% of the time if I got an option, but I still went out and got a Pro a long time ago, played Horizon, God of War. God of War probably my number one game of the generation. That or Witcher 3. Can't make up my mind. They're both amazing. Even Days Gone. Fonzarelli, we both enjoyed Days Gone. We don't sit there and shit on the games. Now, of course, we got, what we've affectionately referred to as maybe delivery simulator, FedEx simulator in the past. But we didn't shit on the game. We just make little jokes and talk about our impressions, but we still play it, Not fans of the game personally, but again.
Kojima's the man. Kojima's the man.
Hey, I got to give a shout out to ASQD Gaming. A Squad, he says, the legends are back for another RDX. You all had he's basically saying, hope you all had a great Thanksgiving. Best podcast around. Thank you so much, sir. You got one of the best Ghost Recon and Call of Duty channels around. I keep saying it every week. So great content, A Squad. You're doing great, man. Keep it up. Element of PO also says questions. I was actually going to ask Rukari. I was actually going to ask Rukari about this because Rukari, you were the community manager for Killer Instinct, were you not?
Yep, that I was.
So go ahead and tell us what the next one's called when it's coming out.
Killer Instinct 2 does not exist, so sadly. It's going to come out in your hopes and dreams whenever you choose to go to sleep at night.
So that's something that you really believe, that Killer Instinct 2 is not in production? It's not real? It won't be real?
Yes and no. So I think I've seen how quickly games can be greenlit. So yeah, you ask me right now, absolutely it's not real, but it's real in everybody's hearts and that they all love it, and the team that worked on it. I mean, we sit around at lunch whenever we get back together, and I've gone back to the office multiple times since leaving, and that's what we talk about. Like, wouldn't it be fun if, we've got ideas for this and that, but it takes a perfect storm to make stuff like that happen.
Now, are you sure, though, that the guy next to you with the really big sandwich on his phone isn't really just streaming Killer Instinct 2 on Xcloud and you just don't know about it? I mean, is it possible they're hiding that from you?
The joke is, because there was, maybe 7, 8 of us. I want to say it was Adam Ice Cream, James Goddard, myself, Dave McCrate. There were just a handful of, or Ernest Yen, handful of people that worked on this thing. So if it were to come from anywhere, it'd be from one of those few folks. So yes, I know that nobody random has it, because we'd all make sure that we got our hands on it first to guide it in the proper direction. So as of right now, I from what I know, again, I haven't worked at Microsoft now in a matter of months, but there is no KI.
That's unfortunate.
It is my favorite fighting game of this generation for sure, hands down. Me and my sons played the heck out of that game.
The funny part is I couldn't stand fighting games until I worked on that game. Got my ass kicked. I told you we brought one console for the block, and all my buddies that played fighting games, like I would have to just wait in line behind 15 other dudes while they whooped everybody's ass, and then I'd get up and lose hella quick. I'm like, forget these games.
Hey,
I grew up Tony Hawk
arcades with Street Fighter in the quarters, sitting there on the arcades, ready to go.
I just want to remind some of these this little fuck boys in the chat. Don't forget, I got Thor's hammer. I will smash you into the ground. I got the band hammer right here, ready to go. All right. So I already told her. Everybody knows, right, that this is a very laid back show. We're not corporate or any of that stuff. We have fun, and some of these people forget that. So we're not. It's just how we are.
People love attention.
Yeah, they do, and you know what? So do we. So
yep.
Let's go ahead. So you're basically saying you don't believe Killer Instinct 2 is in development. I kind of had some hopes, because they did send out a survey asking about, would you like us to just keep updating the first one or actually make a sequel like traditionally? And I was hoping,
because you have to put options in those things, right? You have to kind of see where people's headspaces are at. And from what I gather, business side of it, fighting games only represent 5% of revenue for games that are released in any given year. And we know it's the shooters, it's the sports games. That's why you see Madden 538 and NBA 2K20 and all that. But that's where the money is, and you can say, well, it's just a cash grab, but that's you voting with your dollars anyway.
Yep. But you did say that Fable 4 is almost done.
If only that were the case. Oh God, what was the name of that one game? Was it Fable Legends? Oh Lord. So no, it's one of those things that could happen at any time, and sometimes they take things like, I was already gone at this point, but when Max did his Bring Back KI video and stream, and everyone got together again, it was fun to see. Sometimes it just takes those small catalysts to show that there is, or there are, people that love this IP and these characters, and that, you know, you could make something happen, or it's the right play to make, whether or not it's lucrative from a revenue standpoint, but actually better for a kind of perception standpoint. There's a lot that you could point to. So right now, no, I don't think it's happening, but little things will keep cropping up.
Now you did bring up Fable, and being that you have been on ground zero, I've got to ask. I've always wondered this. I realized that studios fade. That's the thing. People have talked shit about certain studios that Microsoft have already grabbed over the past year, and I have to remind them that these studios are not finite, right? They're very malleable. You can always replace and hire and get talent and build these things up. Every studio's probably released a bad game. In the grand scheme of things, Lionhead was a legendary nameplate. Why not replace talent there instead of just taking 500 sticks of dynamite and just bringing the whole thing to the ground and getting rid of the nameplate along with all the employees there? Why not just kind of hire new talent and kind of try to rebuild from within and keep the name?
The corporate answer is probably business priorities and what they've got coming in the future. Like I love walking by, or when I used to walk by Shannon Loftus' office, and I would just hear random things that she was talking about with business or finance or whomever. And I realized that the people around are ridiculously fucking smart. Mm-hmm. And they've got a lot going on that I would never want to have to try and decide or think about or even fathom. So I don't know why you would choose to nick something, or what they did for reallocation. And I hate to make that sound like a wishy-washy answer, but again, it's always my
no, I mean, again, though,
it wasn't my bit to think about, so I never had to.
I mean, I just got to give you props for even answering and trying to answer your best ability. I don't expect you to have like the answers right, but I kind of try to feel out and get a little bit of information, that maybe some context at the very least is what I'm looking for. And even if you don't have it all, you're still trying, and we do appreciate that. Somebody in the chat wants me to ask you if you play the banjo. Oh no, they want me to ask you if about banjo, not if you play the banjo. Banjo-Kazooie.
They always want if I played the banjo. Was that Don't Call Me White?
No, I don't think so.
Rukari, are there a lot of people asking for Banjo-Kazooie? Do you guys hear that around the office?
I mean, they're going to hear it, of course.
Because it was rare. Right? So as soon as you realized that Rare was, the OG creators of KI and with Ken Lobb and all this stuff, it was like, well, naturally, this means that we would have, this. Oh, Joanna Dark was another one. And that was Crazy LCD. That was Larry all the time. Give us Joanna. And internally we'd be like, no. And then we go in the forums like, hey, well, you never know what's possible.
No.
We send out a survey. How would you like us to bring Joanna back? This means nothing.
Yeah, this would. You'd be surprised at how many answers had to be fillers. But sometimes we would pick things off of those filler answers based on like trends. It wasn't that we were necessarily looking for that specific thing, but we would take data and say, okay, well, it seems like they want this type of thing. So sometimes those surveys are disguised, and it's not a direct answer. It's more so getting vibes.
Sure.
Yeah, filling out the room. We got to give a shout out to over 900 watching us live already, guys. Thank you so much for what you do. Let's try to smash past 400 likes a show. We usually crush that, but hey, I try to start low, right? So 400 likes in the show, 1,000 after the fact. Thanks for all of you rocking out with us. Maybe share this out, help us out a little bit more. We are the #1 Xbox podcast on YouTube for a reason, and it's all because of you. We've got
and me.
Yeah, and Cold Eastwood, of course. Yosemite, Yosemite. I'm guessing. I'm just gonna assume. Wink twice at Banjo. Hang on, this thing's scrolling. Wink twice at Banjo 3 is real. Yeah, I don't get it. I mean,
we should probably say this in front of Rukari. I think or before you move on, that kind of our stance, I think collectively, is that we could have a Banjo game. Us in the podcast don't really want a Banjo game, like that can come, but like my stance is, can we save that until some real big games come out on Xbox? Because that's something that's kind of missing on the platform this past couple years or few years. So that's kind of like where our stance is with Banjo-Kazooie. I know that there's a subset of group of players that remember it back in the days of yore. But
it's good to have it, right? But they could potentially contract it out. And we could have both and this and that. But honestly, like our focus here, or at least a lot of us here, agree that we need new AAA IP. And Rare have said, look, we don't want to go back. We're going forward. We got ideas, right? We don't want to work on the same thing for 500 years. So
what do you guys think of Battletoads?
Yeah.
And my point is that nobody will ever think it's perfect because your rose tinted glasses are perfect.
Yeah.
Right. And you look at Banjo and it's like, oh, I absolutely need this. And then they make something that isn't for you. Again, it's targeted at somebody else, not the nostalgia.
The new generation,
factor.
Right?
Yeah. And it's like, well, never mind.
Have you tried it, Rukari?
The new Battletoads?
Yeah.
I got to play it at EXO briefly.
So, like, are you allowed to say? Well, I mean, I guess you can.
It was fun. Yeah, it was fun. So,
is it tough?
Well, demos are made to not be tough.
Yeah, like you literally can't die in a lot of them.
You have to make that for lowest common denominator.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for everybody to have access to it, and then you're thinking of, oh God, what if people are in line? So I want them to get through this bit. What do I want them to take from the demo? Anyway, no, it was just fun. And what I was more so thinking about is like, great, I can introduce my kid to this, and this is how I start to get him used to ideas of gaming. He's 6, he can't do twin sticks. Maybe this is how I break him into it. So anyway, that's my.
I mean, you had a really good point about Banjo, though, is that indeed, like, indeed, I just said indeed. That's like D-Batch saying malarkey. Basically, with Banjo, right? Let's say they reintroduce it. This is not the Banjo. This ain't the same bear. This bear went somewhere, came back. It's a different color. Like, you don't know this bear because it's a completely different team. It's designed for a new generation of gamers. They're trying to create a new generation of fans, right? They already know they've got these people, but you're right. Maybe they do come back, they get their Banjo, and they're like, what the fuck? This isn't exactly what I remember, and much like Battletoads, that's a perfect example because I remember Battletoads, and I remember having a blast with it, and I see the new one, I'm like, it's not for me anymore. It's for a new generation of people.
Not everything has to scale up, I'm in my 40s, and I don't usually say that, but like, I talk to people who used to play Banjo, and it's like 20 some years ago, and I'm like, for me, I was just out of high school, like I didn't want to play Banjo back in the late 90s. And I certainly don't want to play it now. And I've gone back and played it so that I could research it to make a video. And I was like, oh, gosh, people like this? Oh.
Well, you're playing
that's how I look at it.
You're playing it now. I mean, not as when it came
but
out.
I had my son play it and ukulele, and he's 8, and he's like, I don't like that. He's like, that game's annoying. See, and I'm like, well, everybody's different.
Got a point there because my kids are the same way. It's like, my son would rather play like Call of Duty or something than a game like that. For me, it's like I look at it and I see a nostalgic factor, with those types of games. But at the same time, what I tell people all the time is, remember back when you played that game? Like you have this thought in your head that it was an amazing, amazing game. Mm-hmm. But when you actually go back to it, it's not quite the same as it used to be. It just, some of these games anyway don't hold up, is what I'm trying to say. So
it's not just that. We have options now. Like, I know I'm going to get martyred for this, but
he said, fuck it, I got the flak jacket on, I'm ready to go.
And Halo 3, right? All these games that people tout so highly. And don't get me wrong, Halo is my favorite game of all time. And people talk about how they hold up nowadays. I'm like, we didn't have options. There was no Netflix on my console. There was no Hulu. Like, all I knew is that the friends that I had before, there were kids and all that, and we were in high school, college, they came home and they played Halo 2. Mm-hmm. What was our alternative? The only other Xbox Live game when Halo 2 came out, I think, was Rainbow Six. And that's all you could play for years. And then when Halo 3 came out, there was actually that Call of Duty.
No, actually Ghost Recon.
Oh, it's Ghost Recon. Okay.
Ghost Recon.
Yeah. Well, competition is higher than
I think you've made an amazing point because that's something that, like, what Colt and Fawn just said like their kid was playing and they're like, I'd rather play Call of Duty. It's like, of course they would. They also have Fortnite. They also have Minecraft. They also have all these other games
on each other over decades.
Well, that's what I'm saying is they have way more entertainment options, like you said, like Netflix, everything, like Disney Plus now, right? Like just everything is so much different than when we were growing up or when we were playing games 15 years ago. And that's the difference is, you know, if we're going to go off of what all these kids want, then Fortnite and freaking, you know, Roblox and all that is going to be what's going to dominate. That's the whole point. Like
Roblox is huge. Mike, I asked my kid, what do you want for Christmas? And he goes, I don't know, Roblox cards. It's like, that's what you want for Christmas? Roblox cards?
Actually, Roblox has more content than most any game on the console, like on the whole library. Like it's, I mean, it's not something I'd like to play, but Zocker brought up a good point. They have so much more variety and games have advanced so much. But to what Rukari said about Battletoads, like even that supports that Battletoads should evolve a little more than the 90s look that it has. Like we do expect to see it evolved and maybe look, you know, more shaded or more detailed. But the difference is De La La Studios is much smaller and they did the hand-drawn and 2D animation and that was their choice. And
just because it's not for 1, 2, whatever, like even if it's a whole panel, like that doesn't mean we're hating on the damn game. Like if you're looking forward to it, hopefully it's great, right? So Element of PO basically has a question for Rukari real quick. Basically, do you go back and watch XOs and use that information for tweaking the format, like to offer your own feedback to make it a better show?
Hell no, I hate watching myself. Nobody likes to hear their own voice.
Agreed.
No, we watch. Well, okay. When I guess I'll give you the breakdown of how a show would work. If we went all the way leading up to live show, you know, you do all this production stuff and you figure out what you've got, and literally hours before the show, content could come in or drop out, right? Because that's how volatile it is. And then after we get out, first of all, we're masochists and we'll sit there and browse Reddit and see what everybody's saying and know that you're looking at Reddit. That's why I talk shit and I'll crack a Reddit joke every time in the show because I know we're cracking cheesy jokes.
Taking jabs.
Like it's and I'll just try and be a little bit real about it. But we always sync up right after the show, and especially when I worked there, my entire job was supposed to revolve around making that show feel more social, whether it was a social desk or getting live interviews or getting people's questions brought up on screen. Either way, yes, we absolutely looked and tweaked. Sometimes some feedback is met with, hey, this is the goal of our show, and this is actually what we are going for. Sometimes we're bound and constricted by something like the Xcloud interview, I will say, is one that is so sewn up and buttoned up, and PRs, like multiple PR people are standing there measuring every word that is said because it's going to be the most quotable part of the show, so they have to make sure. So anyway, yes.
And do you blame them? Because like Twitter and all these guys freak out if anything is mentioned in the wrong order. Even they try to make up a story around it. You know,
it's not that they make up a story. Everyone's entitled to their own interpretation, so you try and give them that, and you just have to be very careful. You have to be very precise. It's almost like it's the worst thing, but nobody's ever allowed to say you can't apologize for something wrong with the game. You can't do that with any company. You can say, I apologize for your experience, but you can't ever like legally admit guilt to something because then you're admitting guilt. Like you could work it 20 months.
And that can be used in the future towards you, right?
Yeah. You can't say, I'm sorry, this is busted. Like it's the craziest bit that they have to dance around. So yes, we absolutely look. There's so much that we can do, so much that we want to do, and so much that we will do. But yeah, we absolutely watch. Yeah. Me, I talk the same shit no matter what, because I realize my segments are whatever. Like I like to have fun.
I'd say that out of a lot, I find you the most comfortable host. I feel that you convey that when you do the show. I have a question in regards to the show. What with the Xcloud? You mentioned Xcloud. Was it true that the teleprompter went down during XO for the XO presentation, or was that just made up on Reddit? Because I was reading that on Reddit.
90% of Reddit is made up, you know. So.
Yeah.
Which part? When
the EA guy said it.
The Gluckstein, Kathleen Gluckstein was on, and she was talking with the EA guy or something like that.
So I was all the way across the arena when that one was going on, and I just remembered watching because they had it up on these giant screens. And I was thinking to myself, oh, she just doesn't look comfortable. Like, all right, let's get through it. But I couldn't see the prompters. Now, I don't know. I tweeted out a photo because Larry and I did a bit where the prompter had to be, just the screen had to be reset. It had a dialogue box over the center chunk of our words, taking up about 20% of the screen that just said no input display. And we got through that. And if you go back and watch the clip, Larry and I are dying. I mean, we're cracking up and going slow like this.
And every fourth word was no signal.
Sure we hit the words. Yeah. No, I don't know. I have no idea.
It was funny because it was just something that brought up. I mean, that's the type of stuff that you have to deal with, though. I'm sure. Like once that goes down, what do you have to improv, or what do you do at that point? But
let me get a super chat from Sviderman. I don't know how you want me to pronounce that, buddy, but he says, I've heard conflicting reports about Scarlett. Isn't that the damn truth? He says, do devs have the dev kits? Is it hard to work with? Is PS5 more powerful? Can RDX set the record straight? Well, I mean, I'd like to think that we're pretty fucking accurate on the show. I think we've proven that over and over and over. What I will say is that 8 months ago, when you had people that, had their dev friends talking about how the Scarlett dev kits weren't as quick as the PS5 ones and this and that, and we told you guys that the dev kits weren't even out yet. Phil Spencer then comes out at XO and talks that we just literally released these dev kits, right? Then we hear some stuff behind the scenes, and then now we're seeing actual PS5 dev kits out in the wild. I talked to Mike Ybarra and Aaron Greenberg behind the scenes about those dev kits and stuff. Pretty interesting take on those, but when it comes down to what's faster, what's better, we've actually got a whole segment on all of that, buddy. So we'll definitely answer your question. Just hang in there for me. But we're getting lost in all these the great conversation pieces here, Rukari. Again, if you're just tuning in, about 1,000 live, Rukari from Inside Xbox, XO, all that good stuff. One of the hosts of the show. We've got Aaron Greenberg constantly talking about all the great things that Game Pass are doing for developers. And despite that, a lot of people are running with their own made-up opinions and narratives on the thing. But long story short of one of his most recent interviews is that constantly, it seems to be the recurring theme of Game Pass, that it is constantly helping developers of all sizes. And people forget that that's also an income source for, like, every month your game's in Game Pass, you're getting paid, too, for smaller developers, which is good. But since Game Pass has become a thing, you've been there since the launch of the Xbox One, you've seen the evolution, you've seen the games come out, and you've also seen games get blamed, for their scores, right? Because of Game Pass, even though we know those games were in development way before Game Pass was a thing. How have you kind of noticed Xbox evolving, the engagement, the perhaps funding, the budget, since Game Pass has become this main initiative, and wisely so, in my opinion?
Just like you were able to spend that much time asking the question, they just focus their energy and their resources. Literally that. It's not as simple as, hey, we're just going to go this route, everybody jump on board, but it is kind of that simple.
Yeah.
We get the pitch that, hey, this is what's up. Game development side, I don't know, because for my entire career, I was on the publishing side of the game development. So really, it wasn't an active development scenario by myself to make sure the Game Pass bits were in there. But you mentioned it before, people get access. Games with gold, the consumer will look, and I hate to use that word, people will look and say, holy shit, I'm getting games for free. When in reality, the developer is going, hey, we're getting paid to get this many people playing our game. Whatever that payment may be, and I don't know what those end up being, what that cost ends up being, or if it's by how many downloads they get and whatnot. But I think of like Guacamelee. I had no idea what that was. Games with Gold got it to me for free.
Yep.
I played the shit out of it. And when 2 launched, because they probably had the funding to do 2, I bought it instantly. So I look at Game Pass and the push that they're making, and they're probably, again, just studying on where trends are going. We talk about the streaming folks and whatnot. All right, they want something that's quick and accessible. What can we give them? And how can we get more people access to it so we can keep making great games in the future?
And again, that's all trickle up, trickle down, right? Like this sounds different than Netflix. You can not only access the game for an extremely low price, but what so great of a value that many people perceive it as free, like you said, that you can also buy the game as well. And then on top of that, all of their DLC is in there, all their microtransactions in there. There's so many different ways that it can spur revenue. Then there's the advertising from the thousands of friends that are playing the same damn game day one, right? There's so many things that people don't really consider with Game Pass, and it's just an option again. So you got a good point. It does raise awareness there. Zucker already kind of gave his
Rukari,
opinion on that.
Rukari, do these developers put their games in Game Pass out of the goodness and kindness of their heart, or do they get paid?
Everybody's got mouths to feed, whether that be their own, their family. While I certainly believe that kindness is a fleeting thought, I would say that ultimately it's a business decision, right? What keeps
he's just making fun of the people that say that it's
I feel bad for Outer Worlds because you guys are playing it for $1 on Game Pass or something like that.
I wouldn't feel bad for them.
So he confirmed, Rukari confirmed here that they're not waiting for your dollars to get paid.
I'm sure they're doing well.
And that is the joke, Rukari, like, because you'll see people, those that decide to access Outer Worlds and Game Pass, right? Just like those that watch Stranger Things or something else on Netflix. People be like, well, I'm going to buy it to support the developers. And it's like they think that the developers just not getting paid, man. And it just gets old.
That's nice of them to buy it to support the developer. Like I said, there are certain things that I've bought because who knows, I may never have Game Pass again. Like I don't think there's anything wrong with that thinking, but
I mean, they're doing it to be like an asshole. Like they're there's I buy mine too, but I'm just saying, like, these guys are basically they've always been against Game Pass because it's something new, and a lot of them kind of say that kind of stuff to try to get a rise out of people, and it does work, obviously, but again, it's just one of those things that kind of gets old.
It hurts. It does get old. But what I don't understand is why are they so consumed with what Microsoft or these other companies are making? It's the value that you get as a consumer that you should be concerned about. I don't know. It's a great value, Game Pass, to get these games to be able to play for the subscription. Why do you care if the game is $60 or not? And if you want to pay $60, go ahead, go buy the game for $60.
As a consumer, I see it as just being a totally pro-consumer. One of the most pro-consumer things I've seen in the industry, all generation. I mean, in all of gaming, to be honest, one of the most pro-consumer things with Game Pass.
Even any kind of medium, it's just the value that's in Game Pass. It's one of those things where it's like they just keep announcing stuff and you're like, wow, like, are they serious? I mean, it's just crazy how they just keep on pumping out the the content. It's a great thing.
And the funniest bit, oh sorry, go ahead, finish.
No, you go ahead.
I was gonna say, I realized that shit was working one day when Game Pass was first being like teased internally and we got to test it out. And I remember being like, oh, well, it's a monthly thing. I doubt I would ever do that. And then a few months down the line, I would find friends coming over and I would go search the Game Pass catalog for something that we could screw around and play. And that would have cost me more to buy anyway for the evening or whatever than my Game Pass subscription was for the month. And I was like, they got me. All right. Clearly, I don't know jack about this. So
shit changes, and speaking of shit changing, the Rockhold games, the Rockhold Gaming is asking about the damn cartridges for the PS5. He's like, what's going on with that? Sony bringing back memory cards? Now, we covered that a week or two ago. That was a fucking patent for some toys.
For a leap, Brad.
So everyone making these videos about these SSD cartridges and all this stuff, it turns out, and again, we didn't jump on that because it was stupid, but it turns out that it was a patent for some toys that Sony have something to do with. Nothing to do with consoles or gaming. But again, I just thought that was hilarious. Rukari, I'll ask you this, and of course, I don't expect you to answer. I really don't, but if maybe you'll drop something for the fans. But regarding AAA games for Microsoft, even AAA IP, things like that, things that I think Microsoft really need and have needed for a few years. Is there anything can you even say that you know anything at all that it has you excited going forward?
Out of the goodness of my heart, I have no idea.
What if I give you $1 on Game Pass?
Man. So being around game development now and seeing how long it takes, I'm willing to bet too that come Scarlett launch, you're going to see the fruits of the labors of all the acquisitions, but they're not turning around new AAA games in time for that.
Yeah.
Like you think all these acquisitions happened, in the last year or whatever. I'm fully expecting that to be a play. Like, okay, I think this is just me being a fan and watching the last cycle, which was my first real adult paying attention cycle of consoles go. Well, because when the 360 came out, I was just turned 19. Like I wasn't really paying attention.
Right.
I knew which one I wanted. Or actually, I knew which one my friends got. Either way. So I watched the Xbox One launch, and they lost in hardware, right? And that turned into word of mouth. Hey, the Xbox isn't as powerful as the PlayStation 4. And people get to talking. And it's not the $50,000 spends that you do for a commercial or however many millions they are. It's what your friends are saying and or doing. So I think this time around, they know they've got the studios to make first party games for them, but now they just need to sell the units off the bat. So they have to win back the voice of the people and come out with a really great product at a really great price. And if you do that, then you can go back to those developers and say, I need you to make something for this because the install base is there. So my thought is there will be first party things, not fast enough to appease the masses. I think that's just the truth of
in terms of like new AAA IP, things like, I mean, we had already talked about on the show that in 2020, you're looking at Halo Infinite in terms of that kind of game, bigger budget AAA blockbuster game, and there's people that
nobody's
will assume,
happy with Halo anymore.
Well, you know,
because they're like, all right, it's
count it,
expected.
yeah.
It's
it's like-
expected.
and they want new things, and I don't blame them a single bit. But you know, we kind of said 2021 is really when you'll see things like you said that you'll see things for the first time at the next E3, and we fully expect that, and they absolutely have to do that at this point. They didn't do it at E3 this past time through, so 2021 is really where we start to expect to see some of these things really getting closer, or news, the light at the end of the tunnel. You know, I'm tired of glaucoma.
Yeah, exactly. It's exactly that. So again, it's not going to be, I don't think it'll be next year when Scarlett comes. I think you'll have the heavy hitters like the Halos and the whatnot, the things they'll make noise about, but people will say, okay, we've known about these. You bought all these studios. What's next? And those studios are they probably got purchased mid-development. So they're going to have things that are coming out, and then they'll get on the new cycle of making something brand new.
Now, No Russian says that according to us, hardware sales don't matter. Now, I need a link to that in No Russian, because that's a lie. For one, we never said that they matter in no facet. We talk about the engagement. Things are changing. What do you think is going to happen the second Xcloud is released to hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions of smartphones? That's essentially an Xbox right there. You got to change your mindset. You're stuck back in the mud and shit.
And once you try Xcloud, it's mind blowing, especially the console streaming. Everything that your console can do, you can have access to that remotely. I think that's so invaluable, man.
Hey, before we move on completely, I just want to touch on what Rukari was saying. You know, I love that you sat there and said that, you know, we've got, you know, they've got some games in the pipeline, but we're not going to see that at the start of, say, the Scarlett, you know, launch window. As we've been telling people on this show, we've been trying to warn them that, hey, these games take time. That, you know, we're not going to see some of these big AAAs that they could be working on now until much later. So, I mean, that's just something that I think more people need to understand and fully understand, because they're going to see the Scarlett, they're going to see the Halo Infinite, and they're going to say, okay, but we know it's Halo, it's typical Halo, it's the same thing. Even though it could be a fantastic game, that's the mindset some people have. So,
somebody also asked about Xcloud exclusive. That was already shut down by Microsoft. That was a dumb rumor that some people ran with for a day, for 10 hours for some reason. Xcloud exclusives, for one, don't make sense. Got to work on Xbox One just to be on Xcloud. And secondly, they said no. Not this time, quote unquote.
I just want to add what Rukari said there. He said something really telling there, how Microsoft is aware, you know, what happened last generation with the power narrative, and how, you know, everyone pretty much knew word of mouth that the Xbox was less powerful than the PlayStation 4. So you give me hope that the next generation Xbox will not have that problem again.
I read somewhere, and granted, all my bits are speculation, but I read somewhere that while you guys were talking about these Scarlett kits and whatnot, that they wanted to hold it tight to really surprise and wow Sony. So I'm like, I'm wondering. I guess I should go back to, we are all people. Right? All these people that work on this stuff, no matter what they make or what their position is in the company, they all read and are passionate about these things. Shit you not, when Horizon Zero Dawn came out and we brought in a PS4 Pro to work, plugged it in and turned it on, the first thing everybody did was go, oh, whoa. Like, this is, I think that was atomized green. And we were working on Crackdown, right? And that was right before Crackdown got dinged at E3 for looking too cartoony, even though it was always cell shaded and whatnot. And then we looked at Horizon Zero Dawn and was like, yeah. Like, yeah. So we're all people. We're all people.
Yes.
That's out here. It's like, we understand you're constrained by time, resources. I mean, time is a resource, but we get it. We get it. So I'm sure Xbox gets it.
Right. Well, I have a question. I have a question in regards to what he's saying. I know you're a big sports fan. We were talking pre-show. What is your take? Have you tried Xcloud and have you played Madden on it?
Believe it or not, the first time I tried Xcloud was not until XO19, and I only played 30 seconds of Forza.
That shit must have been fire.
And it was simply because the first internal testing that they did, they went Android.
Oh, you have your iPhone.
And then I got, caught up in my layoff, and I don't know what they've done. So I tried it. It was cool. Didn't play Madden, but it was fun.
I can tell you one thing. I played I pretty much played 2 seasons of Madden just on it. It's just the portability of it is great. It's definitely something that you should try.
But Tim, what you don't know is Tim's been training himself for Xcloud by playing on his OLED out of game mode for 6 months. So you're transitioned well.
Oh my God! We learned that today.
Thrown under the bus.
Richard's article proved that too.
And I literally have been saying this in parties. It's like playing without game mode on your TV.
Pretty much. That's a very good comparison. I think the Digital Foundry article just said that basically it's if you take your game mode off, that's comparable to the latency of what you would get on an E9 LG OLED.
And I was kidding about Tim training, but that was just a random joke. He didn't really do that. But so I mean, somebody in the chat obviously believes it somewhere.
I wouldn't know the difference with my eyes.
And most gamers don't even engage game mode, so a lot of gamers. They're not even going to perceive that input lag because
they're already frauds. Yeah, I mean, hell.
I actually have a question for Rukari, actually, because you brought up what you said about the Horizon Zero Dawn, and then kind of like everybody internally, you guys were looking at it, and you're like, oh shit, like this is kind of freaking amazing. I have a random question for you. What do you see that Xbox needs to make for to get that kind of reaction from? Let's just be honest, the competition. Right? Do you think they need that? Do you think because to me, Xbox has an identity, and I think a lot of that identity revolves around multiplayer games, like connecting people. I think that's what the 360 was all about. I feel like people made friends for life on there. Do you think they need to do that with a multiplayer game, a single player game, or both? Like, where do you see that coming?
So this is where I challenge the thought of that and say that no one at home knows what Xbox is heading towards as an end goal or a business decision that results in success. I think they were in the past looking more so for install base and whatnot and revenue that they could generate through services. That's why you see things like Xbox Live and you see things like Game Pass and whatnot. So I don't necessarily believe that they have to do anything but shift their priorities, right? And if that's what they choose to do to make that happen, they can make whatever they want happen. KI was one that we always said we wanted to disrupt the fighting game scene with great we wanted to make a game that didn't have a huge budget, but that changed the way that people bought and played games. So it had a free weekly rotating character that turned into bi-weekly. We offered the characters piecemeal to kind of let people buy things the way that they wanted to go. That was a way that we wanted to shake up KI, and we look at the success, and it wasn't necessarily sales, but we had the highest monthly active users of any game that came out from Xbox for like a year or two, even through all the games with gold launches or whatnot. So we proved that, we had with a 900p game at the time, which everybody dinged us for.
That's just fire.
Yeah, it's so stupid.
Right. But it was fun. But they were absolutely right. It didn't even hit the full 1080. And yes, the Xbox couldn't handle that power and whatnot. But we still had success. So long story short, if they want to see success with those first party studios and titles, and they just have to make that their priority. And I don't know if they are or if they're not, but in the past, it seems like they were very focused on services. Remember those few years where everything felt like a game as a service, right? Where everything had that
2015, 16, yeah.
So if they want to make it happen, they will. Just again, ridiculously smart people who are making these decisions and watching these trends and give stuff the right amount of.
That's something that kind of Matt Booty talked about. He said that one of the problems was that they don't need to chase trends. And I feel like Fable Legends was trying to chase the MOBA trend.
100%, yeah.
And that's something that
free
you
to
just
play,
can't. Yeah, the free to play or whatever. I just feel like that's something you can't do. I think you need something that's a vision, right? Like a person or people or group of people need to have a vision, and to execute that vision is the problem, right? No matter what type of game it is, no matter what it looks like, it could be Banjo-Kazooie with an Uzi. I don't know. But anything, if you just execute it correctly, it could change people's minds.
Just make the game you want to make is what it comes down to.
Exactly.
And hey, do you remember Rise? Rise was gorgeous.
Don't even bring it up, dude. All right, you're gonna make me cry.
Did I?
Don't do
Docker
that.
just
No,
beat
go
it
ahead.
last week.
Okay.
He's already, he loves it.
No, I beat it a long time ago. I love that game, bro. Go
That
ahead.
was the first game I beat on the Xbox One. That was like my first achievement. And all. It was a great game. Well, beautiful.
It was
game.
underrated in my opinion. Yes.
Definitely underrated.
I want a
Definitely.
sequel. Make it happen.
Another game that was hit for being 900p. They were talking more about the resolution, but that game visually, compared to it still holds up. So that's all.
Was Power the big?
Go ahead, Cole.
Well, I'm sorry.
No,
was
no.
Power like the big ding for the Xbox One the first couple of years? Rukari?
Well, we know
what you
that
saw?
that's the case. Yeah.
I mean, if I look at the trends on the games that I was working on, granted, okay, so Power Star Golf and Crimson Dragon, nobody was looking at visual fidelity.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So from what I saw, KI was the one, and Extreme corrected me in here. It actually was 720 until an update for Season 3 brought it to 900.
Yes.
So yeah, that was the ding, because that's the buzzword that everybody wanted to talk about. And I'm not saying they're wrong for that, but it's just what people chose to latch on to.
Yeah. Enrique of Basement Radio Arcade, now a proud PC elitist after 3 weeks. He says that one of the best things about this generation for Microsoft is basically Game Pass and bringing that to PC, allowing him to not really have to stick with the box, the Xbox. He can kind of keep that ecosystem, and he is excited for Xcloud on PC. So, I mean, it's great. Game Pass is great all around the board. Element of PO also says that Xbox One X, PC, or Xcloud. We just learned that he doesn't play Xcloud, but Rukari, what do you play on personally?
So I have, technically I have an Xbox One X that doesn't exist.
All right.
It was a Taco Bell prototype that makes the Taco Bell ding. But
does it shoot tacos? I mean, what does it do? I mean, okay.
God, I'm already 285. Lord forbid it shout out tacos.
Oh,
God. Oh, I'd be so happy. But Destiny's been my game of choice, and it's the thing that I keep coming back to. And we talk about the ecosystems that you build. For some odd reason, my friends are playing it, so I've been stuck on it. Just picked it up on Steam, and I love that for solo bits. But yeah, if I have my way, I've got this beautiful old LG OLED that I don't play on because I prefer to play on my monitor with the One X that I have over this way. That's it. I'm boring.
I'm all about the OLED, man. I'm sorry. Got to keep it.
It's gorgeous. It's absolutely gorgeous. But I something about the way I play, I have to sit forward, like mouth hanging open, like kind of this Cro-Magnon.
You're ready for the taco to fly. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, the taco needs to come.
The taco.
Hunchback with lower back problems.
I gotta sit forward, like my elbows are. Looks like I'm ready to jump up at a moment's notice.
You got the headgear on?
Something about the screen right in front of me is what I need.
According to Relevant Native, shout out to him. He says David Jaffe is destroying Sony fanboys right now, talking about the success of Game Pass. These are numbers, and that's the thing David Jaffe understands. So shout out to Zaire. I think he's doing a show with Jaffe right now. But again, we do got to give a shout out to over 1,000 people checking us out right now, guys. I'm getting closer to, thank you guys so much. Hit that like button if you can. Let's blow past 400. We're already almost there.
Just 8 more.
Share this out for us. Help us out a little bit. We're having a great time. Rukari's doing a phenomenal job. I'm not used to this, Rukari. You're carrying yourself so well. You're carrying yourself so well.
The bullshit is strong with this one.
Yeah.
No. Hey, I don't know if you noticed, but I haven't really answered them. I've given.
Well, hey, you're doing more than most people would do. You got to understand.
Yeah. Well, what are they going to do? Lay me off again?
I don't know. Probably not. Yeah, probably.
I'm kidding. I haven't said anything.
You told everybody about the taco.
You said this.
That's great.
What are they going to do? Lay me off again? They're like, bitch, watch your seat.
No, you've answered the questions very well, though. I mean, you've been honest. So that's, sometimes we ask people questions and they can't talk about it. And then, you could just tell the uncomfortable, they're uncomfortable from the start. They're like, well, I can't talk about it.
Well, that's why Yabar is so excited to come back on, because he's kind of, he's got a new,
he doesn't have to worry so much.
Hey guys, Hey, before I got to run, guys, I got to pick up my daughter, so I have to cut out early. But it was great to meet you, Rukari, and I'm going to go ahead and keep listening while I'm picking her up and stuff. I'm listening in the car. So,
well, we wish we heard more from you, Fonz, man. It was good to have you here, man.
Great show, man. Great show.
Appreciate it.
Later, Fonz. Drive safe, buddy.
But again, I mean, other what was I going to say? I already forgot. I got to be shout out to everyone in the chat too. I can't really keep up with everybody, but again, guys, hello to all of you who have said hello. Did you play Death Stranding, Rukari?
No, because all right. So we talk about. I have my PS4 Pro here. Don't play shit on it because I'm so used to Xbox. I'm such a horrible gamer now. Like I feel like the more I was involved with games, the less I actually play.
Well, yeah, it's your work, right?
Let me help you. Stop playing Destiny, and then you might play other games.
It's so
that's the crack, dude. That's the best.
Like,
shout out to the Iron Lord.
Yeah, it's so true. And it's funny. I've started to play. I played Star Wars on stream for a couple of hours, and then I was like, I'm just gonna log into Destiny real quick and see what's going on there.
Just gonna check my stats.
He's like tapping his veins. He's like, I get a little Destiny going.
Borderlands. I am the worst when it comes to finishing games, and I think that's kind of what I like about Destiny is there's nothing to finish. Yeah. I've always exclaimed the reason why I liked KI so much is that I like the games that you could I call them toilet bowl games, the ones that you could play while you're sitting on, in the time that it would take you to use the restroom, right? I'm not, the sessions are gone. The days of Halo 2 when I would pick up at 6 p.m. and put down the controller at 2 a.m. are gone between kid, job, all that stuff. So now I play in like 30-minute spurts. And Destiny, since I've completed the main bit of content, is perfect for that. I don't really need to remember much. I play a multiplayer match, do a strike, and that's it. So I want to play Death Stranding, but I'm scared of the commitment that I'll need to make to it.
Well, just deliver a package, come back to it a day later, deliver some more.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, the game looks gorgeous, HDR and all that stuff. It's just the actual thing you got to do to get to what I'm interested in, as I've said, is I'm interested in the story. The cutscenes are interesting, but I refuse to deliver the pigs and chickens to Sea of Thieves. I'm not going to do it Death Stranding. That's kind of what I held back. Yeah, I'm just telling the truth. It's
talk shit.
It's just how it is. Halo Infinite, though, we are looking forward to Halo Infinite. And you're right. It'd be good to kind of bring more, but Halo's still big. It still carries a lot of weight. The last one did extremely well. And the architect of Slipspace is actually basically talking about how advanced this new engine is, going so far as to call it is the most cutting edge engine on the planet, which is, I mean, that's a big claim. Because there are some very advanced engines out there. As we know, Halo 5, that was one of the big problems. The engine is very hard to work with. This one supposedly is much better. Colt, I mean, are you excited at all for Infinite? And a claim like this, it is a big claim.
Yeah, well, they kind of have to talk the big talk and walk the big walk with Halo. I mean, today we're learning how Halo's not dead. It's still pretty big. But, Halo 5...
What do you mean we're learning Halo's not dead?
Well, you know how people talk.
Yeah,
Halo Infinite does really need to bring it. It has to bring something different than 5 did. It's something bigger. If those rumors are true that the game is more open, maybe more open than Reach is, that'd be a really good thing because I really like Reach a lot. It's one of my favorites.
Gunplay FPS wants to know what he thinks of people saying wait till next E3. That's the thing. I haven't heard anybody say wait till next E3. There's some idiot that said that we said that, but we never said that.
No, we actually had XO, so that's the game show that we.
Yeah, I mean, again, nobody wants to wait to see what they're excited for. But again, I think this next E3 should be pretty good.
You don't wait for E3 because they're going to announce games for the Scarlett at the Scarlett reveal in the spring. So
that's a good point, Colt.
Yep,
it's a very good point. Zalker, Halo Infinite engine game looks good. We've heard some weird things behind the scenes, but I mean, what do you think they're going to adopt to really bring Infinite forward?
I think this is actually bigger than just Halo. I think that it's great that I think this would be the first game, but I think the Slipspace engine, I mean, I might be wrong, I don't know, but I feel like this is more for Xbox, right? You look at what Guerrilla Games has done with their game engine with Decima, they gave it to Kojima, you look how beautiful the games are, and Sony uses it for other things, right? So I think that's what Xbox is, Microsoft is doing. This isn't just for Halo. And I think that's what this guy's talking about is this is one of the most cutting edge, engines out there, right? We have Unreal, there's a bunch out there. And Microsoft is, I think, this is far more future proofing, their gaming investment to bring this forward to like maybe even another first party can use it or something else. Like that's what I find exciting about this. That's what I enjoy about this, and I want to see what Halo can do with it, especially like they have, 343. I don't know, Rukari, I think they have like over 500 people, 600 people on staff. A lot of those people are probably building the engine, and that's what they're there for. And it'll help push this game to heights that we've never seen. Halo, like, it's Halo Infinite, right? So
you're right, though. They will use this engine. They will use this engine on a lot of projects going forward. That investment, much like Azure, will actually pay itself back by being used more and more. There was a rumor, and that is just a rumor, of a budget of $500 million for Halo. That's ridiculous, right? Grand Theft Auto, I think Grand Theft Auto 5 has the biggest budget ever as of right now. It's like 260 something million. So no, 500 million's insane. Marketing's a different story, but they didn't count marketing with GTA or any of that stuff either. So again, Halo Infinite, nowhere near that. The engine itself, to pay those guys to build it, that's the cost of building the engine. To pay those guys that are smart enough to build it, that's their salary. And 500 million's a bunch of fucking money to do that in 6 years, 5 years. So I don't know.
Help our buddy Greg. He's always here in the chat talking good game stuff. He said, "I hope that the Halo Infinite doesn't look the same on the Scarlett as it does in the base Xbox."
No,
dealer covered this really well last week on this video, or this week.
I mean, they've confirmed that. The 343 have talked about that. They've literally said it will be the version to get, basically, maybe aside if you're a PC guy. And Matt Booty also doubled down on that as well, saying they're going to. So if you didn't check out my last video, be sure you do that, because I crushed pretty much. And I forgot to include the fact that games like Middle-earth Shadow of Mordor, right? That game had an entire AI system that wasn't even on the 360 version, only on the next-gen version. The Nemesis system. That wasn't on the old system. And that's because that's too demanding for the CPU. That's something that they cut completely because it was available on an older SKU. That SKU couldn't run it. So that's another example of scalability. They will adapt and change things. And if you buy a $100 Xbox One S, I guess you're not going to get the best fucking experience,
Well, even people, not even Matt Booty, just everybody not everybody, but the people that have talked at 343 has even said it. The Scarlet one's going to be the premium one. Mm-hmm. It's going to be on par with PC. They've literally said that. So, yeah.
I think so too.
And the crazy thing was that article came out and people were like, it's going to suck, but you didn't read the article, so.
I got to an argument with somebody yesterday on this exact same topic. And, they were under the impression that, the the regular Xbox One is going to hold back the Scarlett because they still got to develop games for them. And a lot of people need to realize that these consoles are essentially PCs. They're running the x86 architecture. It's going to scale up and down. Like, I guess after 2 years, it might not make sense to bring some of the games down to the regular Xbox One because they probably wouldn't run as good. But at the same time, it would still run. Maybe it would run at 720p, freaking 30, 25 frames per second with less grasp.
I mean, Microsoft are the ones saying basically no console left behind. That's them. They're not stating that for all third party. People need to understand that. So I think they'll try to make it a very strong point to bring their games, and especially a lot of their newer studios games can run on the S for quite some time. Their games will come to their console lineup, but not necessarily every SKU. If you remember Batman Arkham Knight, they said no, there's not even enough RAM on the 360 to even have the Batmobile. The Batmobile alone takes up more RAM than 360 has. So they didn't do it. They didn't bring it there.
Yeah, I agree with you. Next generation, there's a lot of third-party devs that aren't going to bother. Maybe for the first 6 months, we might see some cross-platform games from third-party devs, but after a while, they're just not going to push it as hard. They're just going to go towards the new consoles and the PCs. And this is core to part. This is the way things have always been. So I don't know why people are acting surprised, but I don't think the regular Xbox One is going to hold back the Xbox Scarlett. I think everything's going to play nice. They have great tools over there, and it scales quite effortlessly from what I'm hearing from developers.
And Turn 10 have actually commented on how the Xbox One X and higher hardware SKUs actually benefit the S. They were actually able to bring dynamic weather back into the Xbox One S version of the game because of the optimizations with the X. And this is an interview they did. They confirmed this. So, this is just, the problem is information, and who knows what the hell they're talking about. Mr. Buster Palmer says he's pretty much tired of people counting Xbox out for 2020. Microsoft is being quiet for a reason, and they will surprise the PS5. Yeah, I mean, again, I wouldn't count, and this is just because, you know, we kind of know what's around the corner. Wouldn't count on too much big AAA next year, but yes, they do have a few things that they haven't announced. Halo's going to be big. Scarlett's going to be amazing. And we'll see how that goes. Let's go ahead and move forward, though, for my own sake. Real quick, Batman game. Speaking of Batman, there is that new Batman game they've been teasing for 5,000 years. So it's time to reveal it, and apparently the Game Awards may have that answer for us, Zucker. I'm sure you have looked into this. Maybe give us 30, 40 seconds on it. What do you know about this?
Yeah, pretty much. The people are saying that it's going to be at the Game Awards, and apparently,
is there a
from
reason?
what I've read, no, I mean, no, there's no reason. Just that's the time they decide to show it. But apparently, there's rumors that there's not just a Batman game in development. Apparently, there's a Superman game in development too. And there's like leaked art about it. And so, yeah, apparently there's the two right there, Batman, Superman. But I don't know if the Superman one's going to be shown even soon or if it exists, but that's what's been happening. Apparently, Montreal was working on something like that. And then they shifted over to Batman for some reason or something. It was weird, man. There's a lot of rumors going around, but Game Awards, Batman Legacy, rumored to be there.
I mean, they've been teasing it for like 8 months. They wouldn't have teased it this much.
I don't know, man. At this point, I'm just kind of like, yeah, it's a tease. It's a rumor. Hopefully it's there. If not, I'm going to walk away, you know, irritated, but I'm going to be like, well, fuck, I should have expected it. You know, fool me once, you know? So
the Superman game sounds kind of dope, though. I can't remember any Superman game ever being good, though. So
I think they need to wait till next gen where the CPU and the SSDs can handle how fast Superman can move and everything.
Right.
Yeah, and as long as they tie his health to the health of the city, it's all good. That's what they did in the last Superman game.
I know.
Yeah, let the city get blown up, Superman dies. All right, it's like an episode of Smallville. Let's go ahead and move forward here with the, let me scroll back and get right on track here. There is also, just to kind of mention this again, sponsor of the show, Extreme Rate, giving away your choice of 2 of their products, 2 different winners. They're going to choose that. Leave the comment after the show renders with the word Extreme. Maybe you want to, say hi to them. And they will choose the winner, and I will basically send, or maybe I'll choose the winner. I'll clarify that with them, and they will get a hold of you either on YouTube or Twitter. If you have Twitter, that's probably best. And you can basically choose from 2 of their products, whatever they are. Awesome. So shout out to those guys for doing what they're doing. There's also new Xbox updates where you can look through your friends, and Rand did a video on this, but I want to cover this because we were talking about how they're probably, they're going to bring Xcloud to console eventually. And I think they're going to do this because they want you to be able to play games instantly. And so let's say Colt's playing Barbie Simulator 2020. Like, the next one's out, he's playing it. And you're like, well, let me click on Colt's name. Oh, it says what he's playing. There's actually a button here I can click and actually go buy Barbie Simulator 20. Oh, this shit's fire, right? But the thing is, going forward, they're eventually going to launch Xcloud on the console. And this is something that we were talking about, and then we were told by somebody that, yeah, that's actually something that we kind of heard. So that's really, really awesome if they do this, because not only could older hardware support newer games that way, because remember, they're bringing Anaconda to the server blades eventually, but you'll be able to actually take that one advantage that Stadia has, and of course, just rip that shit right out. Just, take that right away from them. You can start your games instantly. That could also lead to the possibility of you trying games instantly. So let's say you got a 20-minute demo in any game in the store. Use Xcloud and actually play the demo instantly. Or you're installing a game, but your download sucks, or maybe you got a good download, but you don't want to wait 30 minutes. You could hit play instantly and stream it from the cloud while it downloads enough, and then it seamlessly transitions into the actual version of the game being played locally. That's kind of where we think things are going there. And this new update kind of lays the groundwork for that, so you can easily see what your friends are playing, easily purchase that, or what we think will eventually be an option is to stream that on your console. Just want to, Colt Eastwood, I think it's a pretty interesting possibility there.
Yep, because after you and I talked about that, I've kind of working that into the next video as one of the bullet points, because it could change the way, it's funny because I got home. I already had Halo MCC all ready to go. I downloaded the update for Reach, and then I got home tonight, and it's like, here's the 42 gig patch. So
What?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, you're kidding me. I just downloaded that.
It's got to re-download the game. It's got to re-download a new
42
build.
on console, 20 Win 10. Steam
24,
is 20.
24 on PC.
Oh, yeah.
I just didn't.
And,
Why is it so
part of that
small
was
on
my
PC,
fault
though?
Because my internal's full, so it won't automatically push to the external hard drive. So it was one of those things that once I came home, it's like, oh, hey, you're here. Here's 42 gigs. It's like, oh, so even if I wanted to play as soon as I got home from work, well, you're not having it on current gen. And something, and I know Dealer kind of talked about it over 2 minutes, but look at it this way. You come home and a brand new game like Jedi Fallen Order just came out that night. You don't wait to install that game for 20 minutes or 45 minutes, depending on your speed.
Mm-hmm.
You just launch it on Xcloud moment one. In 20 seconds or 30 seconds, you're in the game, you're playing. It can download in the background. And with something the way the Scarlett's probably going to be designed, that it won't slow down the download that much to continue playing on the Xcloud. It's going to be a game changer. It's really going to bring convenience to the forefront.
It ties back into what Yabar was saying on the show several months back. And basically a world that he's basically wanting to live in here as a gamer. I mean, that's his way of telling us, like, man, this is what we're thinking about, is a world where you're in the game instantly.
Yeah.
And that's a big part of that, I think. And also Stadia, as little a competitor that it actually is, that's the one thing they've kind of got going for them, really, is that instant playability. So if they can do that, man, that's a legitimate thing that you could really look forward to. And if Xcloud is really this playable for a lot of people right now, I can imagine in a year, 2 years, whenever they do this, that it's going to be even better. Also, Alex from the Super Chat is wanting to know if Xbox knows about the Bring Back KI initiative, the movement. Yeah, we talked at length about Killer Instinct earlier. So if you haven't checked out, if you weren't here during the earlier part of the show, check it out, man. It's all going to be there when it uploads to the channel. But either way, I think it's a pretty interesting concept. Hopefully that happens. That's definitely what I think is going to happen. The PlayStation 5 development kit, by the way, they're surfacing pictures. These are legitimate. They are real. They're out there in the wild. And that's where the quote that you mentioned earlier, Rukari, come from, is this whole thing where Tom Warren's commenting on this. And that's from an article. They took what Tom Warren said, not what Microsoft said, and ran with that. So the development kits we saw the other day on Twitter, 100% real. Tom Warren says that there are very few Scarlett development kits out there in the wild right now, as something we kind of hinted to before. And he also says that hardly anyone has those development kits, and they are nowhere near final. So keep that in mind. Any performance numbers, anything like that, development kits, the final ones will not be out until around E3 2020, somewhere around there, right after that. So he also says that's why you hear nonsense about. Yeah, he's surprised. He says that's why you hear nonsense about them not being powerful, etc. Microsoft wants to surprise Sony with this. Now, I do believe Microsoft want to definitely keep their cards close to the chest. They're not even talking about Lockhart, and I know, Microsoft won't acknowledge that, but we know it's a real fucking thing. They're not talking about any of that stuff. So, I mean, does that surprise you at all, Rukari, that maybe that, since you referenced it earlier, I just want your input on this, I guess.
Doesn't surprise me. No idea what they're planning. Again, I always talk about their goals and their business decisions. So if that's what they think is gonna win it, well, because I think the slaps in the face came, when the DRM stuff came up, right? And then there was a commercial out by Sony that said, "This is how you share games on PlayStation."
Genius.
So that just shows growth. Okay, so they're looking at past mistakes and be like, how can we not make the same mistakes twice? And in all their efforts, we'll probably make new mistakes, but as long as it's not the same mistakes.
Yeah.
So I have no idea what they're doing. I wouldn't be surprised if they're trying to keep it close to the chest, but at the same time, what can really change at this point?
Exactly.
Right? Because they've already made decisions years ago. So I don't know what they're thinking.
That's a misconception. People think that you can go in and change it, even within a year. They don't understand how much R&D goes into this.
Yeah.
It's like 5 years, 3 years, 4 years in development. You know what I mean? It's like
the X was basically being planned since 2012, according to Phil Spencer. The Assassin Lupa, shout out to her. She says, anything that improves our games life, why not? It's all good. Agreed, yeah, and especially when it's an option. So somebody says PS5 development kits aren't finished either, aren't final either. Nobody said they were. Comprehension. So again, both consoles are going to be extremely, insanely fast compared to what we have today. Looking forward to them both, and hopefully, maybe if anything, the Scarlett dev kits may be being a little bit late, if that's even really the case, because you never know until it's not officially confirmed. That could mean that they may be running on slightly newer technology here or there. Will it help? I don't know. So again, I think that kind of makes a little bit of sense, or could be a possibility. D-Batch, what do you think?
Sorry, man. I've been like that.
The most talented.
It's like when the teacher calls on you in class and you ain't been listening.
This
to
motherfucker
shit.
woke up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
D-Batch every day.
D-Batch gets an F for effort.
No, I'll butt in here for a second. I just find it, I don't know, I find it kind of funny, right? Because everybody's posting stuff like, we're all, here, we're all content creators. So we get a bunch of messages from people and people are like, oh, this is more powerful or this is more powerful. And it's like, I've always told them, like, dude, nobody really knows what the fuck's going on. All right. Like, I'm just gonna be real with you. Nobody really knows. Like, we can look, make educated guesses and we can move forward from there. But there's other people that post stuff. They're like, my cousin's second, third boyfriend removed. It's like he knows he has his hands on the Scarlett. It's like, what? It's like, no, he doesn't. He doesn't, man. And this is even, Mike Yabar commented on this. Like, he even was like, going through these threads is just good for a laugh.
Because
it's
it
like
is.
Oh
it is.
my
And
god, I agree with that. That's the one thing my 8-9 years gaming industry has taught me is that I was a dumbass when I was making predictions and guessing and looking at news. I was like, none of that, none of it.
Yeah. And so that's what I think is funny is like even Mike Yabar, all these people, like these guys are in the know, obviously, right? So they're just kind of like, man, this is just funny. Like that's what it is, and that's what it is. People like nobody knows what's happening. Each company's keeping everything very close to the vest, and they're not trying to give the competition any leg up in any way. So just be patient. In 6 months, we're gonna know a lot more, or in a couple months, we'll know a lot more. And that's just the way it is.
And just to clarify, though, Zucker, there's some people that really don't know what the fuck's happening, but there's some people that can kind of, guide and predict things a little more accurately. But yeah, I mean, it can go either any way, No,
I'm more making fun of the people that are like, I know for a fact from this dude, and it's like, bro, chill.
Or they say a quote like, I know for a fact that most probably.
I know for a fact by 60% chance, 100% of the chance is like it's going to happen.
I like how you guys think that these people that say those things qualify it because they don't. They just say, I know for a fact. They don't try and hide the fact that they don't know for a fact. They just say, no, that's fact.
I know for a fact. I don't know
facts going on in this fact thing.
And I think Tom Warren really exposed a lot of these guys because we heard some reports at E3.
He made an exposed video on them. D, is that what you're saying?
I forget which editor it was, but he was saying, "Oh yeah, I'm hearing from developers that the PlayStation 5 is more powerful than the Xbox Scarlett." And we're finding out now that the Xbox Scarlett dev kits just went out recently. So how the hell would they know this at E3? So right there, we know that's bullshit. And then these guys over at Reset Era spouting all this nonsense, they really, really got shut down. And they got really upset.
Well, D, they got drop kicked. You know that gif of Godzilla drop kicking another monster from 500 feet away, right? That's what happened to them the day that the first time, I think Reiner even mentioned this, because of course, Tim and Albert Pinello is aware of everything that's happening. And Albert Pinello jumped in on that thread. I believe Colt and Reiner, everyone was in that thread. And he said, look, there's no way the dev kits are out right now. There's no way they can know that stuff. And he said this on Twitter. So this has been crushed long ago. But yes, you're right. The Reset Era community, as weird as some of these motherfuckers are, definitely been freaking out.
I also got to commend Microsoft because I want them to keep their cards close to their chest because some of these developers that will get these dev kits, they're third-party developers. And, we don't know where their loyalty lies, because at least if you work at Microsoft, you're going to keep your secrets close, right? But these third-party devs, last generation, it leaked out how much RAM the Xbox One had. And Sony made some last-minute counters to it. And that gave them the 1080p advantage. And we know how that played out.
Well, we don't know that 100%. I think if anything, Microsoft found out.
They did add the.
Oh, you said I know for a fact. There you are.
Yeah, I know for a fact. I'm just saying that if anything, I think the ESRAM edition was the reaction to the GDDR5.
No, in regards to that, what happened? That talked about. They added the 4 gigabits of GDDR5 at the last moment.
They just glued it on there.
Pretty much. Well, that was an ad because they didn't have. The problem was they could add it, but they didn't know if they could get enough chips manufactured at that time. And then it came through that they would, and supposedly it was like right before the February PlayStation reveal in 2013. And I mean, I remember when that came up on the screen and it was 8 gigabits of GDDR5, and I was like, wow. I was like, that's big.
Yeah. Mark Cerny dropped one there, and I just realized
We're launching tomorrow. Overclock it quick. Yeah.
Try. Yeah, I don't know. It could go either way, man. But from what we're hearing, and things are looking good for Scarlett. We'll see what happens with the development kits and all that stuff. Either way, very easy to optimize and create for compared to stuff in the past.
Personally, I think they're going to be pretty close. I'm pretty certain. I don't want to say for a fact.
Rukari will drop kick you like he did Zalker.
I'm pretty certain though that Microsoft is going to focus on ray tracing just because it's built into their API with DX12, and I think that's going to be a point of interest for gamers, and I think Microsoft's going to really concentrate on that, and quite possibly might have better ray tracing on their console.
Hey Thanos, man, that doesn't work, bro. I'm sorry.
Well, he doesn't work either. He's gone.
It
was inevitable. I just snapped my fingers.
Again, man, I don't understand that. I'm live. Wow, who are you? That's not. You know what I'm saying? When I upload a video, I don't say I'm live. That's not what I do.
I know you pre-record. It's great.
Can I?
Go ahead, Zalker.
Can I ask you? Have you seen any of the Scarlett stuff, Rukari? Have you?
Rukari's playing on one right now. That's what he's not telling us.
I'm just saying, man. I'm just asking. You don't gotta tell details. I mean, have you seen anything that you're kind of like, oh, it's pretty cool? Anything?
I've seen nada. Trying to think. What did I first?
Bullshit runs deep.
Rukari, can you just DM me the pics that you got?
I'll tell you this. I got in the beta program as not like development ring of testers for Xbox One X. I had mine. What if it came out in November? Probably in like January of the year. So long story short, not being there for the last few months.
Ask again in January, basically is what you're saying.
Well, I don't work there anymore, so I'm not like I'm not gonna have one. And even then, nobody pushed out 4K updates for their games until like September, and so it was almost like a pointless thing unless you're actually in active development. So no, I haven't seen anything of it. I know nothing of it. The only thing that I do know, because I am that person that will do it, I'm gonna end up with both anyway.
Yep.
So
had a baby.
Yep. We all are pretty much, yeah.
And you'll play Destiny on both of them.
I love watching the people argue about which is better. No, you know what's funny is I've never people are gonna argue about what is better, and it's funny that Xbox went so service heavy because I find my whole world is Xbox, not just because I worked there, but because that's where my friends played and that's where my achievements were first, and that's where I had built a home. Like if I could never go play exclusively somewhere else because I've already built that ecosystem. I'm not saying Xbox could do no wrong, but they're pushing forward just like Sony's trying to push forward, and that makes me happy because it'll be better than my Xbox One X.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you've got who knows how many thousands of dollars worth of software you've already invested in, and you prefer the ecosystem and all that, right?
Yep. That's that.
Friends are
and all
there.
My controllers will work.
Yep. Yeah. And two, that's something that as many times as we say it, we all the accessories, all the games, they're pushing for everything to work on the next console, correct?
From what I understand, from what I've read.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Because that's again, that's what we're told.
From what I've read. I love it.
Well, hey, the weird thing is the longer I worked there, the less I could pay attention because it went from like following one game like Halo exclusively to hearing about hundreds. So I stopped paying attention. One, that way I never slipped on anything that I wasn't supposed to talk about. And two, just because I got to a point where like I hate going to game shows now because I don't want to see something that I have to wait to play. There's so much coming out that I don't play anyway, so I might as well just wait for it to drop. So I really have no idea. I'm listening to you guys like, oh shit, I got to start reading about this.
Hey man, that's the case for a lot of people though. Honestly, we're kind of on the cutting edge of some of the stuff.
Yeah,
that's fine. I let other people do the work and process the information and tell me what that means.
You know how you just said you don't want to slip up? We're the motherfuckers that are listening to the slip ups, right?
Oh, I know. That's what I know just how quickly that stuff can get out.
Yeah. You had mentioned even just announcing that you were doing your own thing for a bit. Just even a week off is kind of it wasn't ideal. It could be that simple, man.
Ready for this? I got dinged for tweeting that I got laid off too. How do you get dinged? How do you get dinged by an employer that doesn't employ you?
I don't know. I have no clue. But I mean, hopefully.
And what sucks is the person who was talking to me, they were just like, man, we want to use you on Inside Xbox Future. I said, hey, technically I got laid off like 60 days ago and I haven't heard from you.
But your tweet was actually
so nice.
Malicious. Yeah, it was super nice and super fair, I was wondering behind the scenes. I'm like, man, how did how hurtful did this go down? Like, was this like kind of blindside thing, but you handled it very gracefully?
And we don't want you to end up ruining any opportunity you might have again or something either. I mean,
Right.
Now,
And that's what that person wanted too. They were like, we don't want.
Yeah.
It's going to be weird from a fan perspective for you to say that you're not with us anymore, and we use you at Gamescom, which they didn't end up. They used me in September, but I go, no, it's not. I'll just say, hey, I'm back for this show.
Well, they should. You're right, though. You're absolutely right, though, and that's not an opinion. If they lay you off, they shouldn't wait 2 months to let you know what's going on.
Oh no, they didn't. Well, technically, there was no shows. I knew I had to get past E3.
Well, they didn't tell you they were going to use you again, though, right?
Yeah, that's just it. And that was my defense. It's like, hey, man, I got a kid to feed. I got to start looking for a job.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm in this weird, like, it was the biggest blessing and curse. So I'll give you guys the whole timeline. When I joined the team in 2018, they said, you're going to work on Xbox daily live streams. And I looked at our live streams and said, hey, we got 50 people watching daily.
Yeah.
This shit's not going to last. And we got 2 people that are working on this. And, there were times where we'd have thousands. And it wasn't because of Mixer. We streamed to both Mixer and Twitch. But I could just watch. And I go, hey, we got 1, 2, 3, 4 full-time employees, 5 full-time employees. And I said 2 of them are working on Inside Xbox, which gets 60,000 people watching it live and hundreds of thousands afterwards in social distribution. I'm working on one that has 50 people. So I was like, yeah, this isn't going to last. This is not going to last at all.
You were already searching for a way out.
No, I wasn't searching for a way out, but I'm not surprised. So when it got to around the March timeframe, those conversations and one-on-one start happening. Like, hey, what do you want to do next in your career? Like, how do we grow you? Because I've mentioned that a lot of my career has been on accident, or space and opportunity, or luck favors the prepared, whatever you want to call it. But I heard that reference and I was like, I know what this is. And I know legally they probably can't tell me that something's going to change in the future. And then finally tore my calf in April. So right around that time frame, somebody said, hey, we're starting to get the numbers for next year. Our year starts July 1st. And they said, I can't tell you, that you would be getting laid off. But let's find something for you. Your job is to now find a new job. So when I got the 6 a.m. meeting invite from my boss for 8 a.m. on Monday, May 5th, the day after, or Monday, May 6th, the day after I recorded that Fortnite video unboxing, I was like, oh shit, like this is it. And what I got told, the biggest blessing was that I had 2 months to find a new job because I was not being laid off for performance reasons. The worst part is nobody's hiring at the end of their fiscal year. And they're prepping for E3. So I was still working for Microsoft and, drawing my salary. Everything was the same. I had access, but I didn't have a job. And it sucked because I didn't want to tell anybody, because if I tell anybody and then I got a new job internally, then that's confusing.
Yeah.
But the longer I waited, the closer I got to that July 5th deadline of not having a job. Right. So yeah, I finally said something post E3 because I didn't want to interrupt the show. But people started asking me, what is the first E3 you've missed in like 7 years? Why aren't you here? Why weren't you on Inside Xbox? And I was like, okay, well, here's why. And then a week later, some of the Mixer folks,
they said, don't worry about your kids.
Different role. Their contract ended and whatnot. But yeah, they send out their news and it turned into some whole big thing. And yeah, someone pulled me aside and said, hey, you shouldn't have, mentioned that. And I was like, well, what should I have done?
Yeah.
I think
you're absolutely right. They were like, I could watch them because they're in marketing and PR and kind of that world. They were trying to protect the brand, but arguing with themselves because they knew that wasn't the right call.
Yeah.
Either way, there was no love lost because they did understand the dilemma that it just sucked.
That's why I said it's not an opinion. Like, you can't go that long without knowing what's happening and you got kids and a family.
So then, about a month later, they pulled me for stuff. I started doing sessions again. I think the first one I did was, it didn't come out first, but I did a video with DeAndre Hopkins and for Madden. And then I did a Gears 5 one with RZA. And that's when I finally got to say, hey, I'm helping. I'm not working for him, but I'm still helping.
That's cool. And did you work with, I thought I saw that you signed with Astro or something after that or something. Was that you?
Yeah, that was me. I did for a bit.
You crawled in, crawled out?
Yeah, crawled in, crawled out. I was checking it out. What I've kind of realized now is that, I looked at a possible role with like the Microsoft Edge team.
Mm.
So I was like, do I just go back into Microsoft, right? Do I just find my way back in there so I can keep hosting and doing things? Granted, I wouldn't be paid as a host if I did that, but I would have that security benefits. Like I got a kid and a mortgage and a car. And then I started to realize, kind of with the Astro stuff and looking at that, I said, hey, I don't need to take something just because it nets me a few dollars on the 15th and the 30th.
Yeah.
I'm kind of at a point right now where I'm waiting for the right thing, because I'm able to wait for the right thing. Like if my situation were different financially, I'm sure I'd probably, take different actions, but that's where I'm at now. So the Astro bit, it was cool. It was a fun little bit. It wasn't necessarily a step forward in my career. It wasn't necessarily a step backwards. It was just a step. And I'm just going to keep stepping and see where I land.
Keep on chugging. And two, I just want to say, because we've all said this behind the scenes, and there's a few people from Inside Xbox, follow me, probably Colt, Tim, but nothing against those guys, but most of us here, if not all of us, think you're one of the best hosts on Inside Xbox, and that's just something that I've noticed. I've been saying this for a little bit to myself, and I think because Aaron, Phil, people from Xbox have seen the show and stuff. If that means anything, just know that some of the fans, like a lot of fans, really like the way Rukari hosts shows. So
yeah, it feels natural when you're doing it, like
because I'm not worried about selling shit.
Maybe that's the key.
I laugh about that because the truth of the matter is, and this is a story I've not told many people, I almost quit Inside Xbox after like the 3rd episode.
Oh shit!
I hated how they had me relegated to the side table,
over by the computer.
Yeah, and I said,
and I said,
I said that's fine, but and I literally called it the kids' table. Like, y'all got me at the kids' table.
And here's Rukari with the weather.
Yeah, but what I found myself doing is I was comparing myself to Larry and Graham and not embracing my own style.
Yeah.
Because Larry's phenomenal. I love watching him turn it on. First of all, Larry cusses when he's not on stream, and that's the greatest thing in the world. That was my favorite bit in like Xbox life, is finding out that he drops the F-bomb frequently.
I like him already.
But it was ODST. He was trying to do a segment for Inside Xbox before it got kiboshed way back then, and he couldn't get it. It was like the 27th take. He goes, God, what the fuck? And I was like, yes, Larry, yes. Anyway, I found myself comparing myself to them. And I used the term with Ryan Trite, who was the head of the show. I was like, I feel like I'm just shucking and jiving. Like I'm the little black kid over here soft shoeing for y'all. I was like, jeez, there's a lot of stuff that I said at work that I definitely should not have said. Like I should have just toned it, but it was real.
It's all jokes too. Like a lot of his jokes too.
Honestly, I think that sometimes it's a little bit too, too close to the edge there, and I think that what you like saying, the stuff that you said, I think they need a little bit more of that. There's a lot of passive aggressive stuff that goes on. I've seen personally. But I can tell you one thing: when the news did come out and the tweets, I got a lot of I got a lot of DMs. There were people that were pissed off, genuinely, like what the hell's going on here? He was a good representation of Xbox. And I just, I could tell you that honestly, I got a large amount of tweets. So you definitely have DMs. You definitely have a lot of fans that.
No, I get that. And it was E3 that year. Because again, I was ready to walk, and a few folks came up to me. First one I remember was Lazy Black Gamer. That's his gamer tag. Mm-hmm. And he said, hey man, I love seeing you on the show. Like, you get the representation matters bit and you kind of, nod your head. But we started talking about shoes. And he's like, I love seeing that you wear a different pair. And I was like, y'all pay attention to that shit? Like, I always feel like a jackass for tweeting out my shoes because I feel like I spend too much on them. And he's like, no, man, that's great. I love shoes too. And I'm like, oh, y'all pay attention. And I'll say little bits because of where I'm raised and the way I talk or the verbiage I used. People hear that and catch on to that. And finally it clicked. I was like, Larry is the best broadcast presenter that I've ever been able to work with. Like the way he can turn it on and read his lines and hit the high pitches when he needs to. Graham makes puns like no one else. And I realized I have a unique ability to talk shit and have fun. And when I say I don't care, it's not a strict apathy. It's just more so, somebody asked me when I did my E3 presentation, like, how can you get up in front of all those people? I said, because fuck it, you just got to go. And I realized if I brought that to the show, I don't have to be them. I can just be me. So I'm glad it translates. Because I read Reddit, and trust me, Reddit's always like, we got to get rid of everybody but Larry. Everybody's trying too hard. I'm like, fuck that. I'm not trying at all.
I mean,
I want to laugh and crack jokes. And
the less you get from that is no more
that
Reddit.
was a skill. Yeah. Oh, no, I love Reddit. I love Reddit because they're so wrong.
I'd love to see those guys in front of 4 cameras and 2 teleprompters and
Larry
keep their
cussing in the
composure
background.
together.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not happening.
Throwing ODST at
But
the
Larry's
wall.
been there for 100 years, you know. I mean, in terms of the new
He's
people,
great.
for sure. I mean, you definitely stand out. So, what was I gonna say? I don't.
You
remember.
all right?
Yeah,
There's
yeah,
too much love. There's too much love going on. You all right, man?
That was very real what you just said. Just what you came through.
I mean, if you get hit in the neck with a ninja star to this podcast, it is not our fault, Rukari. I just want to say that.
No. I think you came very genuine. You just said and when you outlined and everything that's just real people things. You know what I mean? It's not easy waiting 2 months and hanging in the wind for a job, and and not knowing where you're gonna your next day, where your next paycheck coming. That's just real. And
Tim's like fading away from the
hoping
mic as he goes.
No, I hope
I know,
they.
right?
I hope they. Maybe get you on back again.
Well, I mean, they still get to use me now. That's still the fun part is, and I laugh about it, is I get to argue with my team about pay for shows. Because they didn't have to pay me before because I was, a salaried employee of Microsoft. Now I'm like, oh, you guys want to use me? The coldest thing I think I've ever said to them is like, let me introduce you to Jamie, my agent.
Oh,
Jamie, you want to come handle this one for
that's
me?
fucked. So basically, you want me to come jump through the windows, and save the show? Then you don't have
Oh
to
my
pay me.
God. Oh,
That's where Larry starts cussing again, right?
He's like,
fuck?
Yeah.
Well, I laughed and I was like, well, now they've taken great care of me, and this is gonna be so bad. I knew I had a job when I saw that Gamescom episode, and I was like, look at they.
God damn, bro.
They better than the one with the
I was
donuts
like,
on the
Emily,
table from the year
I
before.
was like, baby, come look at this. Look at this.
You said, look at these
Oh,
frauds,
yeah,
they're failing without
Now
me.
that's the most savage thing you've done.
That's great.
Right there.
Why? I mean,
He said, I knew I had a job when I saw that Gamescom episode.
it's this.
fuck.
Okay, all right. So I'll tell you more stories. When I first heard that I was going to do the E3 presentation for KI, again, things I should, just the responses that come out of my mouth instantly are just bad. So it was January. I mean, 6 months before the show, and Nicole Fawcett said, hey, your name's being thrown around for this KI presentation for General Rom. And I was like, oh shit, y'all need a black dude, huh? Like to soften up this show? Now she's very real too. Like, and she was like, yeah, probably. But she goes, nobody else on this team could do this. And we've seen Ken Lobb a bunch of times, and we've seen Adam Icegreen. So yeah, we definitely want to keep it fresh. I'm like, all right, cool. So we get to rehearsals in like April or May. And I see Shannon Loftus, who will get up in front of people, but she has a tougher time with it. And she said, are you nervous about this? Again, shit, I should have never said. I said, Shannon, middle-aged white people all their life have been telling me how well-spoken I am. I'm like, this will be a breeze. So yes, I'm very aware of what opened the door, but I had to step through that thing.
And
Well,
I mean, sounds
job,
like it went
man.
well.
It went well. I had no idea that public speaking was a tangible skill. Played basketball in college, like there were cameras around. You always had to talk to people. My dad owned his own business. My mom owns her own stuff. Like that, I thought that was just life. All my friends are very much like me, very loud. That's what I knew. So I had no clue that this thing could become a career, or that being able to hold a conversation with somebody was something to sell.
Yeah. And a lot of it's just killing dead air, right? You just gotta figure out. Well, I guess it's different pre-recorded and stuff, but at the end of the day, like you seem to excel with a lot of that stuff. We got a couple different super chats here. 2 hours. Keep things best podcasted on YouTube. Thank you so much, Tony Bryant. And of course, we had another one, but unfortunately, you know how Chrome is, and I can't keep up with them anymore. Honestly, we're getting so many great stories from Rukari here.
I feel bad. Am I making y'all run long?
No, I mean,
No, man. Stay forever.
and it's one of those things where we just keep it going as long as it feels natural. There's just no time. So, but again,
Emmanuel A says, thanks to Rukari and all the RDX guys for this podcast. Love the work you guys do.
yeah, thank you
That's
so
what I
much.
missed there.
Thank you so much. And there's some more down here as well. And again, shout out to the moderators, Lethal Papa, Obi-Wan, all the mods and stuff, man. All the channel members, Philly Eagle, all of you guys with the green names, man. Again, I wish I could pay more attention right now, but I am multitasking my ass off. And we have one more topic, but I feel like that's kind of the perfect place to end that, honestly. I mean, I feel like that was a really good story and a lot of insight there. You're extremely raw and open about things and your opinions on things, and like you're wearing a flak jacket right now, so that's great.
Well, I can't blush physically.
Well,
so.
hey, you're not even on camera, so it's a double filter there. You're good.
There we go.
Also, well, one more thing, I guess, something really cool, and this could, obviously you may be presenting one of these. As you said, they need people for certain games and stuff. So, Matt Booty was basically talking about how they're going to release, and they want to release 3 or 4 different titles pretty much every year. They want to, every 3 or 4 months, they want to release a new first party game. And Phil Spencer was quoted as saying, the same thing. We want to release 3 or 4 big games a year. There were some articles out there, journalists turned that into AAA. That is not correct, as I covered in a recent video. They're big games. And big games to Phil is, Ori 2 is a big game, like I said to him. Not necessarily that they're AAA, but they're going to try to release quality first party games every couple months, which is good. And that output, Rukari, I think you have a little bit of perspective on this too, because you've seen where 2017 was dry as fuck. It was a super dry year, like ridiculous. And now you're going from that to, 15 studios, a new game every 3 or 4 months, maybe a couple big AAA games a year. That's my hope, at least. That's got to feel good, kind of representing that brand and knowing that things are picking up, right?
That feels good because, again, I'm trying to feed my son, so it sounds like there are lots of opportunities for sessions. And I know a good host.
Xbox sessions, yeah, you're gonna pick that up.
Yeah. So no. I mean, I love gaming, right?
Yeah.
We all love gaming. That's why we're here. It's you wouldn't have been able to tell me years ago that I'd be sitting in my living room with all this gaming equipment around me, talking about gaming, and it's keeping my lights on, type of thing. So whatever they've got going on, great. Make the push, adjust. If they see that something's not working, readjust, make it happen. I'm excited because not just for the work aspect, but I'll be entertained no matter what.
Yeah.
And if we keep getting good games, I'm happy.
Yeah. It's got to feel, and it's great. Like, people pretend like this stuff don't matter sometimes, a bunch of jammers controlling fucks, but it does. And when Gears 5 came out, man, there was a lot of positivity, a lot of hype around the game, and it felt great to look at that game and say, man, look how good this looks. Look how great it feels. Me and Colt were reviewing it before it came out. And we were like, man, it's been a long time since I've experienced this from first party from Microsoft, and this feels amazing. Gears 5 is a quality game, man. And then it got some problems after launch and all that we didn't experience during the review process, but still, I mean, it was nice to play something like that.
Right. It was really good. I didn't have the weird flex of saying I reviewed it before it came out, fuckers.
No, you didn't.
But yeah, it was a good time.
You didn't, but that's where we'll end it, man. Rukari, again, I got to thank you so much for coming on, brother. Awesome.
Absolutely.
Awesome. I hope you had a good time, and maybe in 6 months, whatever, a year, whenever the fuck maybe you want to come on again in the future, you can. No problem. We'd love to have you back on, man.
And if you send us to your agent, we're gonna throw a ninja star at you. Just throwing that out there.
Oh my god,
he'll be too good at dodging those by then.
It's the most fun in the world, let me tell you.
Message.
Yeah, and all
Talk
you
to my
guys
agent.
follow
Bitch.
Rukari on Twitter. His handle is in there.
It's Rikizzle. Like, I gotta tell you, with a name like Rukari, it's real easy to get your like nobody else is taking Rikizzle.
Rikizzle.
Oh my god.
Rikizzle. So
And what's funny is I hated the nickname, by the way. I'm just gonna throw that out there. 2003, I got some Snoop Dogg for Shizzle era. I went to private school, so I'm with everybody that wanted to be cool and friends with the black guy. And I walk into class and somebody goes, "Hey, Rikizzle," and I was like, "Fuck," because I knew it was gonna stick.
You said they're already doing it.
Stick. They said it, and I go, "This is it. Like, this is gonna be the nickname." And sure enough, here we are.
Time slowed down. The Who started playing. You said, this is going to be my Twitter handle.
Oh my god. Well, I mean, whenever you had to pick something, I was like, what do I do? Oh, there we go.
Xbox Battlegrounds. Thank you so much, sir. He says, great show, Spartans, to do 7 days a week. Thank you so much. We will not do 7 days a week. We will do it 1 day a week, and hopefully that makes it a better thing. But I do appreciate it, man. I get what you're saying. Again, Rukari, can you please, and I'll give for those that didn't know, or maybe you need a reminder, sponsor for the show. I'm not getting anything out of this. I only did this so I could get you guys some free stuff. Extreme Rate are going to be sending you guys, at least 2 of you, what I like to call care packages, which can contain 2 of whatever the hell you want from their store. That's the deal I made out with them. So, basically stay tuned after the introductions and the outros for that kind of stuff. and we'll get that going, the information there. But Rukari, let these people know where they can find you, and of course, what have you been playing lately, man?
Oh shit, where they can find me. See, this is the tough part because I hate social media, but now I'm realizing if I keep my career going forward, I need to whore myself out there. So Twitter, Instagram. You guys laugh. That was the first lesson I ever got.
No, I mean, I believe you. Trust me.
Release your inner whore. So Instagram, Twitter. I am not playing. It's all Rikizzle. RUKIZZEL.
Awesome.
And if you catch me on YouTube, make sure I post more goddamn videos because I get to do a lot of awesome shit, and I got to start sharing that.
Yep. That's half the battle, man. So thank you again for coming on, man. What have you been playing? 30 seconds of Xcloud.
Today I've been playing Halo Reach.
And that's your way of saying I ain't been playing shit lately.
Destiny.
Yeah.
Destiny's the one.
Yeah, unfortunately. But hey, one day, hopefully that'll be different. Gamer by Choice. Gamer by Choice, by the way, says this was an amazing show. I was cracking up the whole time. Thank you so much, sir. So thanks again, Rukari, man. If you want, you can comment, leave a link to all your stuff, and I can pin it. Colt, man, again, great show, brother. What have you been playing? Where can people find you?
I just finished this game that you've got on the screen. Yeah, it's interesting that
Call of Duty Infinite
Warfare. Yeah, it got the bad rap because it was bundled with the remaster.
Well, the multiplayer sucked apparently, but the campaign's fire.
I don't care. The campaign's fun. I was playing that, Need for Speed, and you can find me at Colt Eastwood on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and that's about everywhere, I guess.
Look at Obi-Wan. Look at Obi-Wan in the chat. Look, Obi-Wan's got you covered, Rukari. He got your links and all that shit. He got your social security number in the chat, all your information.
You know?
Thanks, Obi, man. See, that's something I wouldn't even have thought of. So look at you. D-Batch on your speakerphone. What's going on, man? What have you been playing? Where can people find you?
You can find me on, of course, Twitter at D_Batch, of course, at YouTube, D-Batch. I'm playing Jedi Fallen Order, about to finish that, but I'm going to take a break. Right after the podcast, I'm going to get on that Halo. Can't wait to see what it looks like on the PC. 4K 60, yeah. It was a good show, boys. And thanks for coming on, Rukari. It was a pleasure doing the show with you.
Absolutely.
Rukari, I like to do something with people that like we might have on the show and stuff, like Mike. I had to mod Mike because Mike has fucking 20 fake, basically imposters out there. And we get fake Ibarras in the chat, giving away codes that were missing 5 digits and shit.
Codes.
Yeah, so can you go ahead and leave another comment in the chat here so I can make sure I got you kind of
I see the little wrench by my name.
Okay, good. Gotcha.
But
now that doesn't mean you got to use those powers. It's still, some worst case scenario.
Just banned hella folk.
Yeah. We can just recognize people that way. All right. So again,
I banned everybody. Rikizzle in the bitch.
again, somebody shows in the chat you don't like. There you go. We've also got Tim Dog, man, Xcloud Tim Dog. What have you been playing, brother? Where can people find you?
I've been playing a lot of Xcloud on Madden, like talking about. I played like 2 seasons, really enjoying it. You can find me on Twitter, Xcloud Tim Dog, and here every Tuesday, 8 o'clock sharp.
Hey, shout out to Smokey. Tim, it's Smokey's birthday.
Smokey, happy birthday!
Yeah, congratulations, you're still alive, and hopefully you get something great.
We gotta get you an Xbox ad.
Get you an Xbox ad. Tim will ship you an Xbox One X. Zonker, how you been, man? What have you been playing? Where can people find you?
Doing good, man. That was a great show, man. I had a really good time. Rukari, you're awesome, bud. That was really fun. But yeah, you guys can find me on Twitter at Zalker87 and on YouTube, Zalker87. I try to be consistent with my videos. And I've been playing, I beat Jedi Fallen Order. That game was fucking awesome. It's crazy. I loved it. And I'm almost done with Injustice 2. Been playing that. I suck. I get my ass kicked in fighting games. It's just the way the world works. And after that, I'm going to be starting Middle-earth Shadow of War. So, yeah, got a lot of shit to play. I'm looking
last time I checked, you had to beat Witcher, remember?
I remember that, and you're going to remind me for the 70th time, but I'm going to tell you, Rand hasn't beat it either. So I'm
you're right. We got to focus on Rand first. South, I'm just now seeing Southbound South in the chat as well. Shout out to you, buddy. Of course, Native, all the guys in the chat. Couldn't really keep up with the show. Trying to keep things moving, but again, thank you all for what you do.
The best damn chat.
Yeah, best chat, definitely, in my opinion. If you haven't already, hit that. Did I outed everyone, right? Fonz isn't here. I had to leave a little early, but shout out to Fonz as well. If you haven't already, guys, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell button, get the notifications if you want to become a channel member. If you have to give a fuck, You want to support the content like this, hit the join button there. There's a Patreon link down below. You can do even more there. Give away games and more as well. Colt's got a Patreon. He's got some merch. We got shirts and stuff down there as well. If you care,
it's like Rukari told us, we got to whore ourselves out.
Yeah, I'm taking it from the best, Rukari. So, I mean, buy a shirt. Buy a shirt, $15. So it's like, what is that? Like a Big Mac and some stuff.
Everybody be a hook.
I got one last story for you when you're all done. That'll be the after credits roll.
All right. Let me give a shout out to the
do your thing.
The sponsor of the show. And that would be, and I've gotten a lot of offers to work with some of these guys, but these guys were extremely accommodating to what I wanted here. So Extreme Rate, they are basically they do custom controller stuff. You can put LEDs on your controller, you can all kinds of stuff. So basically what you need to do is after the show posts, when it's over, it'll be up on my channel. Come back, click on it, and then leave the word Extreme, a comment in a comment there, and make sure it's all caps. And basically, I'll pick 2 winners that way, and then I will let them know who to get a hold of. And, again, they'll probably message you on YouTube or Twitter. And I guess maybe I should have fucking figured that out, huh? So what I'm going to need you to do is leave the word Extreme in the chat, and then I will basically be replying to people in the comments, and we'll basically connect on Twitter. So if you leave something in the chat, you can basically focus on that. I'll find you. If you get a message from me in the comments, then we'll get that information to Extreme Rate, and they will ship something, whatever you want from their store, 2 of it, to wherever you live. That's basically how I'm going to break it down in the worst way possible. So again, after the show stops, leave that Extreme word, and then I'll contact you in the next couple days. This will run for the next week, and then we'll announce the winner next show. That's what they wanted. So just, again, just something for free for you guys for watching. It's the least we can do. And Rukari, go ahead and take the floor.
All right. October 8th, 2012. It's my first day at Halo. The dream, right? Working for 343.
Working for 343.
Yeah, I got my offer letter 1 month before Halo 4 was to ship. So I started there. It's Wednesday, October 10th. I go to the restroom. There are 3 stalls open. Now, these are just urinals, right? Men, we know what to do. You go to odds, never go to evens.
Oh, shit.
Right? You leave space for somebody else to be at the odd. I go to urinal number 1.
This is riveting.
Unzip my pants and start to use the restroom.
Okay.
I hear the door open. Footsteps approach, and some motherfucker comes to stall 2. Now, mind you, there's that half-assed wall that's right there, right?
You guys make eye contact, and then what?
Next rule, eyes forward. So I'm staring at the wall, and I just hear, "It's so great to have you with us." Fuck is going on? I just like, they're not talking to me. They better not be talking to me. And this jackass just gives me a slight elbow nudge.
Oh my god.
I turn over, make eye contact, Frank O'Connor. Lost my goddamn mind. You know how cold of a power play that was for me on my first week at 343? That's it. I just had to throw that out there because I didn't know what to do. Low key, I fanboyed out. We shook and then departed.
You wash your hands first, right?
We shook and we just ran out of there.
When you say shook,
when you say
nope, I'm gonna leave it right there. That's the end of my story.
This isn't really fair, Rukari. You left us with too many questions.
Yeah.
I need to know, did you wash your hands?
I got the hell out of Dodge.
Okay. But people, just so people have the right idea, you like Frank O'Connor. He's a good guy.
Oh, Frank O'Connor's the best.
Okay, because
it was awesome.
People be like, Rukari called Frank O'Connor a jackass. You know how they do.
No, jackass is nice.
Oh, is it?
You jackass? Like, yeah.
No.
Like, that's what I call. Like,
that private school you went to was really weird.
Yeah. I love that story because it was, I grew up around a lot of people that some would consider famous. I got very lucky in that my mom dated an NBA player when I was younger. I got friends in the NFL and NBA. I've never fanboyed out until it came to gaming.
Yeah, fuck all those people. You got to pee next to Frank O'Connor.
So yeah, that threw me out because on one hand I was mad as hell, and on the other hand it was Frank O'Connor.
I gotta ask.
Happy to see me.
Was he?
I gotta ask. Was he dual wielding?
No, that's too many questions. My story is over. That's the perfect point for you guys.
Oh my fucking!
All right, well,
Thanks, Rukari,
we'll
man.
save the rest of the story for maybe the next time. We'll figure out something else. But again, Rukari, man, absolutely fantastic show, and thank you so much. Down to earth guy. So again, follow him if you don't already. And if you missed, we talked about Killer Instinct stuff, the state of Xbox, the launch of the Xbox One. Rukari's got, motherfucker's got scars everywhere. He's been here the whole generation, so he's got a lot of insight and perspective there. Check that out. Check the show out when it goes up on the channel there. We do appreciate you guys. Thank you guys so much. Hit that like button. Share this out. Tell a friend. And again, you guys rock. We are out.
Later, everybody.
See ya.
We can't let Zalker talk last.
I'll slap